Hey, Chad, how's it going? Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Let me know. I'm doing a sound check because I know that, what was it? The previous night before, I had like audio issues, things like that. Let me put a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me. Just curious, want to hear out here to see how I'm sounding as far as my audio, all that stuff. Hey, what's going on, Rev Russ? His words of love. Chaos Theory, like the name, by the way. Good, good. I don't want to have any, mess ups as far as audio goes. We're going to head on over to the other side. I'm like a minute late, but I just want to say, are there any First Amender fans in here? Hey, if you're a fan of First Amender, that's fine. Hopefully he doesn't bring up rat uterus books or anything like this. We're going to head on over to Speakeasy side and get things moving. By the way, I know I have like an elaborate intro sometimes in a video. I was just inundated back to back with different debates. I had the debate with Wick last night. Hey, what's up, Thumping Weevil? Long time no see. One of my infamous mods, Thumping Weevil, in the chat. Tonight's debate will be blacks should pay whites reparations. I know, really crazy topic, but I can justify this. I honestly think nobody should get any reparations, to be honest with you. But if we had to pick a side, that's what this is. Thumping Weevil, you came during a night that's going to be crazy. It's me versus First Amender. He might spurg out. Who knows? But let's go ahead and make a move to heading over to Speakeasies just to get everything started. All right, let's share this screen real quick. Full screen. Here we go. Of course, this guy leaves.
Good thing I heard that pop in before I walked away. I was just walking away quick to go to the washroom quick. I think First Amender might have done the same thing. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll talk to myself then. That's
all right. No worries. I think First Amender's chat might hear you. I don't know, but
oh yeah.
I'll be right back.
First Amender's chat. Hey, all the rat uterus books and rat uterus book lovers unite. Pleased to see you guys again. Hopefully there will be a different version of the rat's anatomy instead of like the uterus part. We'll see. Oh, I guess he had to get the sippy cup. That's cool. Hey, I'm not hating on the sippy cup. If you guys like drinking from a sippy cup, that's fine. I did when I was a wee lad. I liked drinking from a sippy cup. Yeah, crazy stuff, man. So if you're just tuning in today, I have First Amender who's going to refill his sippy cup. Speakeasy's off to go use the washroom. Needless to say, this is going to be a very interesting debacle / debate that's going to happen. I've got a bowl of fried chicken. My melanin compels me.
Dude, I didn't even say anything to you. You're already insulting me? Like what?
Hey, where was the insult at? Where was the insult?
The sippy cup, the what is it, rat uterus something?
Oh, okay. No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not an insult. That's an
bro. We haven't even started. You're already aggro. Like I already know how this is gonna go.
How is
like,
that?
I want to have a legitimate discussion. Like I'm sitting here spending time doing research, and you're coming in here already throwing fists. And nothing has even happened.
Are you that sensitive? I'm just bringing up things that happened on the last debate. You did bring up a rat uterus book, didn't you? That's not.
I brought up a book regarding
the
regarding specific endocrinological conditions resulting in differences in behaviors. You said whether or not that something like that existed in animals. You asked specifically, does that exist in animals? So then I gave you a source that, yeah, indeed, that has been observed.
So, okay, if that was indeed accurate, how would that be aggro in a fist thrown at you?
So, like, if I, for example, looked up criminal records about yourself, and then I started rattling off offensive criminal records,
how would that be?
If it was accurate, would that be offensive?
No, not if
that wouldn't be offensive at all.
Not if it was
well,
to the subject.
That would really be a shame if that happened in the middle of a stream. That would really be a shame, wouldn't it?
I was a HSI agent, by the way, too. I support ICE, just so you know. So yeah, I would never have a criminal record.
Jesus Christ.
The other side of it.
All right, I see it's already getting heated up over here. It didn't even get started yet.
Exactly. Like nothing has even happened. The guy's immediately being a douchebag. Like I don't even understand why you got to be a fucking baby back douchebag as soon as like we haven't even started. The guy's already fucking going completely aggro. It's obvious to me he's not interested in having a real dialogue. What he wants to do is just get dumb dunk points. The dude's a clown.
Well, this is a fair critique. If you want to bring this up during the debate, you're more than welcome. But just want to make sure you guys know how it goes. The 10 minutes opening statement, 5 minutes uninterrupted rebuttal, hour back and forth, 5 minute closings, and then 30-minute Q&A. Both good with that?
Yeah. I just know he's going to be very sensitive. He's going to move like this during the debate. I don't mind that. Yeah, I understand.
What are we eating? I just had spaghetti.
Oh, I'm black, so you know it's fried chicken. So the melanin compels me.
Everybody likes fried chicken, though. I think you're crazy if you don't like fried chicken. That's what I say.
Yeah, but point to me one Mexican that doesn't like burritos or tacos. Yeah,
I can show you actually a couple. You'd be surprised.
The anomalies exist.
But all right, so then make sure as well. Let me see here, and I gotta put the for and against. Let me actually switch you guys here. And for and against. So Marte, you'll go first for your opening, since you're on the affirmative here, and then First Amender will go last in the closing, so that'll give one the first word, one the last. Let me put against here. All righty. All right, so both of yous are good to go?
Yep.
All right, and then it'll play my disclaimer. The intro song gets people rolling in here. I'll introduce the show, introduce you guys, and the prompt, and then we'll get right into openings. And again, thank you both for being here, and good luck to you both. Let's get this rocking and rolling.
All right.
Warning. The information shared in these conversations and videos are intended for general knowledge and entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered as legal advice or professional guidance. Additionally, any documentation or references to specific content are solely for the purpose of discussion and understanding. It does not imply endorsement, promotion, or support of said content. The views expressed in these videos and or conversation are those.
Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to bring it back over here because I know Easy has this intro of like the soldiers and the people like it looks like Muslim Shiites fighting. So if you're just tuning in right now, First Amender is already in his heels already. I brought a rat uterus when I thought he was on, and then I brought needs to start getting really sensitive. I bring up his sippy cup, and it gets really insulting when they say I brought a rat uterus. Well, no, this is a reference to the last thing that we had. And he says, no, that's a jack. If I brought up your criminal record, what does that do with anything? So already there's a reach from first. Okay. All right.
locked and loaded. Truth on my blade, every line's exploded. You swing your words, I counter with precision. Battle of reason, this is my mission. Raise your fist, let them know. No, raise your voice, let it blow. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. Step back, I'm a scholar and a fighter. Every claim you throw, I strike tighter. Logic and power, I never fold. In the war of words, I'm solid gold. Raise your fist, let them know. Whoa. Raise your voice, let it blow. Woo. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo. We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo. We clash our swords of reason. Every thought a fortress, every claim a storm. We forge a truth where chaos takes form. Ideas ignite like lightning through the night. In the war of minds, we bring the light. Step in, feel the heat. Truth is my weapon, never beat. Raise them high, break the ceiling. With a fire, with a feeling. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. No fear, no chain, no treason. We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. No fear, no chain, no treason. We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. No fear, no chain, no treason. We clash our swords of reason.
Welcome everybody to Swords of Reason right here on the Speakeasy Show, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. This is where logic meets passion. If you're new here, the format is simple. Each debater gets 10 minutes for their opening statement, followed by 5 minutes of uninterrupted rebuttals. After that, we enter the arena for a full hour of back and forth. This is where the arguments can clash and the iron can sharpen the iron. And then finally, each side delivers a 5-minute closing statement to lock in their case. When that's done, we'll move into a 30-minute Q&A. I'll drop a live Q&A in the chat. It's actually there already for you. But keep in mind, these super chats, PayPals, and Cash App questions, they will take priority. So if they fill up the entire 30 minutes, we may not get to the Q&A. So if there's something you want guaranteed to be asked, make sure you send it through one of those priority options. And then once the formal debate wraps up, we open the doors to a chaos and chill panel. This is where the community can hop in, challenge the debaters, ask follow-ups if the debaters choose to stick around, because that part is optional for them. But it's always where things get fun anyways. Today's debate prompt: Black people should pay white people reparations. And for the affirmative, tonight we have, stepping into the Swords of Reason arena, we have Marte Reyes, a professional bodybuilder whose discipline isn't just forged in the gym, but sharpened in the battlefield of ideas as well. Known for his pop culture commentary, political debates, and openly sharing his walk with God, Marte brings a mindset built on structure, conviction, and accountability. And you can find his channel linked in the description below. So make sure you guys go check him out and show some support. And for the negative tonight, we have the First Amender, known for his sharp, hot news breakdowns, unapologetic political debates, and his bold Debate a Woke Liberal call-in show he does right here on YouTube. He's no stranger to live fire exchanges, and you can find his channel linked in the description as well. So make sure you guys go check him out and show some support as well. With that being said, we are going to get right into opening statements. So, Marte, whenever you are ready for your opening statement, I will start the timer up with your voice.
Let me do a mic check. How am I sounding?
Sounds good.
Okay, I just want to make sure that my mic's not cutting in and out. It's been messing up since my debate last night with Wick TV. Anyways, back onto this. You can start my time. Speak easy. Ladies and gentlemen, judges and opponents, reparations are a terrible ass idea. Let's be real here. They are divisive and unjust, but No one gets them because they're not a net good. Let's get this straight and let's get this out of the way. Especially blacks do not deserve reparations. I can demonstrate why. White Americans deserve reparations from black communities. Here's the brutal evidence-based reality. Reparations fail every test of justice and benefit. Slavery ended 160 plus years ago. No living victims, no living perpetrators exist now, forcing taxpayers, including recent immigrants and black taxpayers, to pay trillions for ancient sins created resentment, not reconciliation. Estimates run 10 to 14 trillion dollars. If we're thinking about this, a massive wealth transfer that fuels inflation, balloons debt, and solves zero root problems. Lump sums rarely lift long-term outcomes. History actually proves this, which I can demonstrate. We've already poured billions into affirmative action, billions into welfare, and tons into anti-discrimination laws. More race-based handouts entrench victimhood, kill personal responsibility, and fracture society. Net good? Hell to the nah. Net disasters, if we're tallying real current harms, whites are actually the creditors. No white American alive owned slaves, yet black communities disproportionately impose massive ongoing costs to the systems. Cost white taxpayers largely foot. They largely bear this cost. Latest data hammers this home with a welfare whopping EBT drain. Black Americans, 13 to 14% of the population, make up 25 to 26% of SNAP recipients. USDA, this is from my 20 to 23 to 24 data consistently through 25 reports. Whites are the largest group numerically, 35%, but blacks are massively overrepresentative relative to the populace share. Trillions transferred over decades from working, mostly white taxpayers to recipients. Reverse reparations are already paid. Now add interest for the imbalance. Property value destruction also happens. Violent crime disproportionately involving black perpetrators. Historically, FBI patterns show black arrests 25-30% for violent offenses. Despite population share, slashes nearby home values significantly. So when blacks move in, let me cut to the chase. Property value goes down and plummets, costing everybody money. Brookings studies link higher volume crime, 10 to 20% drops in property values. Majority black neighborhoods face systemic devaluation for 48% or 48,000 per home on average, totaling 156 billion in cumulative losses nationwide. White flight, if you guys know what that is, from cities like Detroit or Baltimore cost white families billions in lost equity. Crime doesn't just harm victims, it erodes wealth for everybody nearby. BLM, I'm pretty sure my opponent supports this in the George Floyd riots. 2020 unrest cost $1 to $2 billion worth of damage, costing taxpayers thousands and millions of dollars of damage in insured damages. Industry estimates often cited in record civil disorder catastrophes. We literally broke records, plus massive uninsured torch cities scarred, mostly peaceful. Tell that to the owners whose livelihoods vanished, mostly white people. Taxpayers disproportionately white footed the bill for cleanup and recovery. Now let's move on to the criminal justice system. All this strain, which blacks represent 37 to 38% of the prison population. And these are BJS recent figures. Despite 13% of the population, corrections cost $80 billion plus yearly. Higher incarceration, education shortfalls, healthcare burdens, all extra taxpayer dollars sucked out disproportionately from non-black contributors. Bottom line, if reparations compensate for ongoing burdens, whites and non-black taxpayers are owed big. The flow has been one way for generations. Welfare extraction, asset devaluation that I went over, riot destruction, and also prison costs. Slavery cost us more than the cotton gin did anyways, because keeping slaves cost us money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's even a low ball. The ledger doesn't lie. Rebuttal hammer, crushing the counter arguments right now. I'm going to say that facts aren't racism. Denial's delusion. These disparities are documented by government sources, USDA, FBA, all the BHS, Brookings Institute. All this are not fringe claims. First Amender, ignoring them perpetuates the problem they claim to fight. Historical legacy. Every group has grievances. Irish people, Jewish people, Asians, natives, yet only one demands endless trillions of dollars from payouts from innocents today. This is the qualification nightmare that we're looking at. Who qualifies? Mixed races, recent African immigrants, DNA tests. How would you even do this? The bureaucracy would devalue billions of dollars before a dime reaches anybody. And all this would be devoured before that even starts. If you even think about doing this. Matter of fact, you would even call me mixed race because my mom's black and my dad's half black. So how much would we get? A quarter? This would cost so much money to try to figure out anyways if we were going to get reparations. But we're talking about now. Blacks costing the systems billions and trillions of dollars. We can actually tally that right now instead of all of this that you would even be talking about, because I'd like to get into the devaluation of the money of how blacks come up with reparations. So perpetual score, settling scores destroys nations. Universal fixes, meaning school choice, real justice reform, economic incentives for all, building progress, race-based handouts, they poison it. Matter of fact, anything that my opponent brings up is going to poison the solutions. So we are going to reject reparations outright for everybody. Invest in opportunity for everybody. That's how we move forward, not backward into tribal debt games. So right now, instead of playing these games, I would say nobody gets reparations. But if you want to play the semantics game, I think that whites are owed reparations from blacks because of their inherent cost of the system, their debt. The prison system was a minority, I would say. And then not to mention this EBT, all this other stuff. And not to mention this, let's bring up DEI, which is inherently racist towards white people, costing thousands of dollars in taxpayer funds. And then not to mention this, but also safety concerns too. If you hire Shaniqua to fly a plane and she's unqualified because instead of hiring merit-based, you're costing thousands of dollars in injury claims and all this. She's higher likely to crash a jet than Samuel Struthers, who graduated on merit.
Marte, you muted yourself on the stream right there. I can,
all right, here we go.
Back 10 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to end this right here, and I'm anxious to get into the debate. My opponent before the debate, I had actually brought up like the rat uteruses that happened in the previous debate, which was very interesting. He thinks that's a low blow. And I mean, he brought a sippy cup and all this. All these are not jabs. There is claims, not ought claims. He's extra sensitive tonight, so be wary. The guy might crash out. But back to this. First Amender, I'm here for a serious debate. I study for this debate and I prep for this debate. I'm ready to hear a serious debate from you, and I'm ready to hear your argument. I can see my time.
All right. Thank you for that opening statement, Marte. With that, we are going to hand the mic over to First Amender. First Amender, whenever you're ready for your opening statement, I will start the timer up with your voice.
Whenever you are. The notion that Black Americans owe reparations to white Americans is not credible or a serious position in any mainstream historical, economic, or policy discussion. It is a largely rhetorical device that is used to deflect or mock legitimate debates about reparations for slavery and subsequent systemic discrimination rather than a coherent argument grounded in evidence or precedent. The core concept of reparations, whether for slavery, Jim Crow segregation, redlining, or other documented policies, rests on the principle of addressing specific large-scale harms inflicted by governments and institutions of identifiable groups with lasting intergenerational effects. In the U.S. context, this refers to the enslavement of millions of Africans and their descendants from the 17th century until 1865, during which enormous wealth was extracted through unpaid labor, followed by over a century of legal de facto discrimination that prevented wealth accumulation and equal equal opportunity. Economists and historians have estimated this scale and this stolen label and its compounding effects in the trillions of dollars when adjusted for interest and lost generational wealth. The idea of reversing this, claiming Black Americans owe whites, typically relies on a handful of weak assertions, none of which hold up to any scrutiny. Number one, claims that social welfare programs, affirmative action, or other public benefits represent reverse reparations paid to Black people ignore the basic facts. These programs are universal and broadly targeted safety nets and anti-discrimination measures available to citizens of all races. White Americans, as the largest demographic group, are the primary recipients of any such benefits. Social Security, Medicare, farm subsidies, and even means-tested aid like SNAP, they are not framed as racial compensation. They are responses to broader societal needs, including poverty that affects people across racial lines. Arguments about welfare or the government spending disproportionately benefiting Black communities overlook that systemic barriers rooted in historical discrimination contributed to higher poverty rates in some Black communities. But even then, the net flow of resources of American history overwhelmingly favored the building of white wealth through policies such as the GI Bill's unequal implementation, FHA redlining, and exclusion from the New Deal benefits in many cases. Any attempt to frame Black Americans as collectively owing whites inverts the victim-perpetrator dynamic entirely. Slavery and Jim Crow were state-sanctioned systems of exploitation of oppression enforced primarily for the benefit of white society at the time, suggesting descendants of the exploited owe anything to the defendants of beneficiaries or to society at large has no parallel in accepted reparations frameworks. When reparations have been paid elsewhere, such as Japanese Americans interned during World War II, Holocaust survivors, or Native American tribes, it flows from the responsible government or institution that harmed the group, not the other way around. No reputable scholar, economist, historian, or policymaker seriously advances the Black owe whites position as a legitimate counterproposal. It appears almost exclusively in online debates or opinion spaces, or as a provocative talking point to undermine discussions of racial justice, rather than a policy proposal with any institutional backing. Legitimate critiques of reparations for slavery, focusing on practical challenges, examples, who qualifies, how to fund it, political feasibility, or alternative approaches like road investments or education and economic opportunity, not on flipping the moral ledger to demand payment in the opposite direction. In short, this framing is intellectually dishonest because it equates centuries of forced extraction and discrimination with modern race-neutral remedial policies. It dismisses the documented asymmetrical history of harm in favor of false equivalence. Serious conversations about America's racial wealth gap and historical accountability deserve better than bad faith reversals. They require engaging with evidence, not rhetorical gotchas. Thank you. I cede my time.
All right. Thank you for that opening statement. So that is going to conclude the opening statements. We're going to move into the uninterrupted rebuttal round. This is where each side will have 5 minutes uninterrupted to respond to their opponent's opening argument. And then after that, we'll get into the open hour. So, Marte, we're going to hand the mic back to you. Whenever you're ready for your 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Can you hear me now? We're good? Okay, so my opponent talks about this and says that this isn't the current status quo or even brought up in current discussions, because right now, I will say why. Right now, we're dealing with immigration and other issues right now. The reason why we voted for our beloved president that you adore also as well, too, First Amender, Donald J. Trump. We have to get rid of a lot of the scum that's in America right now, which would be the Islamist scum and this Islamist surge that's happening, and a lot of these illegals that come in and siphon off our system as well, too. I think that we have to deal with this problem before we get to the next. That's why we haven't arrived at this discussion of reparations yet, or anybody else. So when we're saying this, what I'm referring to is reverse reparations. In this reverse reparations scenario, funding for whites' ongoing societal costs, which I brought up, and I also have the data and analysis for this when he says, I'm here for facts and not anything else. Data shows that whites would maximize economic impact through innovation, entrepreneurship, and productive investing, generating jobs and GDP growth and multipliers far beyond consumption, because what people are doing is they're having this replacement conversation now. That's the mainstay of the conversation now. if we have all these foreigners come in, we'll have GDP consumption go up. Well, instead, why don't we promote our own? I think that that's more viable solution. And I know that that goes to the immigration argument, but also this transfers to the Black community. Right now, we have more white innovation than anything else. And even we can go to historical, I would say, historical relevations of what's happened in the past right now. Who has innovated American society most? I can't say it's Blacks. What have Blacks built in America besides what, a railroad and everything else? And plus, not only that, we can say that they were provided jobs to do so. So when you say this, that they were taken out of funds and robbed of resources and siphoned from all of this economically, they were actually a burden on the system. And I can actually demonstrate this as well, too, because when the cotton gin came out, guess what happens? You don't have to pay for food, board, housing, or anything else, or maintenance, or even extra resources, which would be people to look out and watch out. So the innovations and the patents dominance for whites accounts for 80% of U.S. investors. Patent recipients and all this are USPTO linked studies. Surveys show that 80% of Caucasians among patent holders. Whites are 3 times more likely to patent than Blacks. Patents drive high impact sectors. This is where the reparations would go anyways, because I could demonstrate this. Superstar investors, which are mostly white people, earn top wages and create industries. Where are all the Black industries we have? Oh, shit, we don't have that many in society. Extra capital would accelerate R&D patents, closing diversity gaps, already costing trillions in lost growth. A lot of these diversity gaps that you would even argue in your whole debate cost us trillions of dollars. The diversity gaps even trickle down to like DEI, all these other extensions because of race-based politics that we have. Brandon Johnson, hell, is saying that we have ice-free zones. That's costing cities thousands of taxpayers of dollars when you have non-regulated areas where federal agents can't come in, and this would be the National Guard, everybody else barring from coming in there, allowing I would say the infiltration of illegal scum coming in through these cities, costing thousands of dollars of taxpayer dollars by increasing crime, promoting more distribution of wealth within themselves, which they also don't share to us, but they would share amongst themselves by siphoning the community, by lowering property value. And also this, they're not even registered to be here. A lot of people are Somali immigrants. So when you're talking about this, we're not talking about American slave descendants. We're talking about the Blacks who are currently replacing our Blacks at a rate like the Somalis and everybody else at a different rate. Are you saying that they should deserve some kind of reparations? Hell no. We already have a Somali scandal that's happening right now, and they would identify as Black. So which one is it, First Amender? And if we're going down to this, we're also going ahead and giving Blacks our handouts as well, too, by doing this replacement in Hollywood, everywhere else. And not to mention this, where's the production in Black communities where they're adding to society through aerospace, science, and engineering? We don't see this. They're in that negative and drain. And I'm not talking about Blacks as a whole. I'm talking about Black culture. That's what I'm referring to. Black culture is a siphon on the system. If you give Black, and I know this may be a little jab at Blacks right now, this would be it myself too. All you'd have is an uptick in Nike sales and all these other things, which is commercial cost. And you would say this go back to the system. But let's be real here. Blacks get pissed. They burn down cities because of George Floyd. Charlie Kirk gets killed. They have peaceful vigils, and they pay the stadium money, which makes more money to hold peaceful protests. This is crazy. Blacks are in that drain on the system. Now we should have reverse racism because nobody's alive that should pay for it.
All right. Thank you for the. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. We're going to hand the mic back to First Amender for his 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. So, First Amender, whenever you're ready, I will start the timer up with your voice.
Okay. So first you say that Blacks don't deserve reparations, white Americans deserve reparations. Okay. Reparations for what? Reparations, for starters, is not a vibe. It's not a feeling. It's not a, my group had it hard. It's compensation that is tied to specific, documented, state-imposed harm. So, for example, Japanese Americans received reparations for internment. Holocaust survivors received reparations for the Holocaust. Victims of government abuse have received compensation. That's the standard. So if you're claiming that white Americans deserve reparations, what I want you to do is identify what are the specific race-based government policies that targeted whites, the measurable economic harm caused by it, and the mechanism for repair. If you can't do that, you're not really making a serious argument. You're just reacting. So let's talk about the claim that billions have already been spent on affirmative action, welfare, and race-based handouts. That's just factually sloppy. Welfare programs are income-based, not race-based. The largest raw number of recipients of welfare programs in America are, in fact, white Americans. SNAP is not a black program. Medicaid is not a black program, and poverty relief is simply that. It's poverty relief. Affirmative action is not a cash transfer either. It is a limited admissions and hiring consideration tool. It has already been largely dismantled. And here's what's the key point, right? A few decades of partial mitigation does not erase centuries of exclusion from wealth building systems. For most of American history, Black Americans were legally barred from owning property. They were excluded from the GI Bill benefits in practice. They were redlined out of mortgages. They were segregated into underfunded school districts. They were denied business loans. Wealth compounds. If you block a population from asset ownership for generations, that gap does not simply disappear because you introduced some policy in the 1970s. You do not get to break someone's legs for 200 years, hand them crutches for 30 and say, see, we fixed it. Now the crime, now onto your ridiculous crime argument. Violent crime is higher among Black perpetrator. Crime correlates very strongly with poverty, concentrated disadvantage, and neighborhood instability, not skin color. When you control for socioeconomic conditions, disparities shrink dramatically. And where did those concentrated poverty zones come from? Redlining maps drawn by the federal government, racial covenants, urban renewal projects that were bulldozing Black communities for wealth centers, policing strategies that concentrated surveillance in specific communities. If you engineer the conditions that point to the outcomes of proof of an inherent flaw, that's circular logic. That's like setting a house on fire and then saying, wow, that house produces a lot of smoke. Must be the house's fault. Now to your ridiculous BLM nonsense. So, first of all, supporting the civil rights movement is not the same as supporting criminal destruction of property. I could support police reform and also oppose rioting at the same time. If you want to equate movements with their worst actors, then by that logic, every conservative should be owning January 6th. We don't do guilt by association. That's just lazy. So onto addressing your some internal contradiction you have here, right? You're saying that reparations are stupid, but also that white people should get them. So you actually can't have it both ways. Either reparations are illegitimate in principle, or they're legitimate when tied to documented harm. If they're stupid, then they're stupid across the board. If they're legitimate, then you need to show the harm. You don't get to reject the framework when it applies to Black Americans and then suddenly embrace it when you think it benefits white people for whatever reason. That's not principle. You're just applying some stupid tribal reaction. So on to regarding how much time do I have? Fuck, I only have 30 seconds. I guess I'll cede the rest of my time. I wish I had more time.
All right. Thank you for that uninterrupted rebuttal. Great rebuttals from both sides. Before we move into the open hour back and forth, I just want to talk to the audience real quick. If you're watching right now, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to tonight's debaters. Their links are in the description. And we host all kinds of debates here on Swords of Reasons, politics, culture, ethics, internet topics, anything where reasoning and passion collides. So if you enjoy the format, make sure you stay locked in because we got a lot more coming, and join the Discord, discord.gg/bearcave. If you want to get on to Swords of Reason, say you are interested in a topic, I can get you an opponent. So hit me up in the Discord there. Also, a reminder for the live chat after closing statements, we'll be doing a 30-minute Q&A. I've already put the Q&A form there in the chat, so you can put your questions in there. But remember, the super chats, PayPals, and Cash App questions, they do get priority. So if they fill up the whole 30 minutes, we may not get to those questions. If there's something you really want answered, send it through one of those options, and we'll make sure it gets asked. And finally, thank you to both of our debaters for being here tonight and bringing your perspective into the arena. Whenever one of you is ready to open up the open floor exchange, just jump in and I'll start the timer with your voice.
Yeah, crime is just a result of, I would say poverty is a result of a lot of crime. So when you say this, it's actually the inverse. To me, it doesn't really make any sense because, and let me go ahead and clarify this because actually you mischaracterized what I just said. So when I said that nobody deserves reparations but whites do, that's actually not what I said. What I said, actually, let me go ahead and steel man my own statement that I said. I said nobody deserves reparations, but if anybody is more inclined to deserve reparations, it'd be white people, because what they could do with this is increase the GDP of our national sovereignty financially, and not to mention this, instead of outsourcing to illegal immigrants, and then not to mention this, but black people who basically just waste spending, and this is demonstrably proven as well too. Can I hear a response to that even?
No, because you have a giant problem on your hands.
Sure.
I asked specifically, and I want to just get a confirmation with the moderator who had sent me the following on Discord, and allow me a moment to pull it up.
Is this more whining and prattle right now from you, or like what's?
No. I want to be very clear that this was your position. This was 1,000% your position.
I'm the one.
This is the way that it was. Stop talking.
Go ahead.
I'm making a point.
Go ahead and make your point, First Amender.
Speakeasy asks me, Marte, who you have debated on my show before, wants to challenge you specifically to the debate prompt. Black people should pay whites reparations. And indeed, if you look right below you on the Speakeasy podcast, it says specifically, Black people should pay white people reparations. And there inside your name, where it says Marte Reyes, it says 4. That means you're in favor. In order for you to continue this debate, you need to agree that Black people need to pay white people for reparations. Do you agree with that?
I literally just said that, but you didn't listen to a damn thing I said, First Amender. But anyways, let me go ahead and dumb it down for you. Yes, Black people should pay white people reparations. Now, what you're talking about is some historical issue that's happened. Now, we've since been divorced from our grandfathers and our grandfathers who suffered through slavery and all of this. And you would say this would even be field incarceration through some mercenary systemic issue that's happened, right? Granted, every single race has been put through slavery and some systemic issue. Now, there are no whites alive that have ever owned slaves in America and currently own slaves, or were never alive to even stop this. So yes, I'm for the 4, but I'm just saying as a premise for foundational start, nobody should. That's my ultimate belief system. But since this debate is for, yes, I am for Black people paying white people reparations. Now we can continue, First Amender.
Can you define reparations in policy terms? What specific policy are you referring to where Black people have to give white people reparations? So I'm sorry, white people. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you kind of like stop tongue tripping over yourself? Okay, back to this. I pointed out incarcerations and corrections, meaning like the 37 to 38% prison population. Not to mention this, but $80 billion in black shares, violent criminal arrests, right? We're talking about 20 to 30%. And then not to mention this, but every time Black people get pissed, they burn shit down. This is unequivocally something that happens underneath a liberal, I would say not only this, but a liberal presidency, this happens. But now that we have Trump in office, that has decreased a lot. Now, what's happening right now is we have a lot of white liberal women that are caping for Black people right now. That's happening, and I think that should stop. That costs taxpayers thousands of dollars because government funding has to come in, and what they're using Blacks as a scapegoat right now. And Blacks are trying to co-sign this, but they can't even do this because they're not going to say white lives matter. Black people will never say this. It's never happened. Immigrants are never going to say this. So white people who are white liberal women are literally dying in the streets for Black people who are never going to say that white lives matter. That costs taxpayers thousands of dollars in excess resources from government officials who have to come in and be hampered through arrests, who have to go ahead and not only this, but stop PDF aisles from committing more crimes, which that's literally what this is. I know I'm going over a few topics right now, But also, property devaluation happens all the time. This is something historically you can't even admit to. Blacks move in, property value goes down. Graffiti goes up, crime goes up. Mom and pop stores get robbed to the degree where they have to close up and close down shop because all of a sudden black people like to steal all the time. Why did the Asian or white person follow me around the store? Because stereotypes are mostly true. I cost their business thousands of dollars, not me specifically, but black communities do this. They don't give back. To be honest with you, I'm just being honest. The numbers prove this, and systemically, we can also demonstrate this as well, too.
All right. I'm going to ask the question again because you did not answer the question, not even a little bit. Can you define what reparations in policy terms? Don't spout off a bunch of things saying incarcerations and corrections, 38% of prison population, violent criminal arrests. Every time black people get pissed, they burn shit down. This happens under liberal presidency. This is decreased because of Trump. Graffiti, mom pop stores get robbed. None of that is a policy term in terms of reparations. So I'm asking you specifically, please define what reparations you mean in policy terms that black people need to give to white people.
Okay, I can give a descriptor of this without a name or a label on this. So as I mentioned I would say my preface to the debate, the DEI spending, I mentioned that there's a $68 to $69 million a year in DEI that costs the system a lot of money. This is through accidents, injury claims, all this other stuff. There will be a reduction. And not to mention this would go right back in the taxpayer's pocket as well, too, because we're hiring merit-based systems. We're actually costing more money because of feelings-based, race-based merit systems because of this. That's where the money would come from. And I think that's what you're alluding to when we talk about this. Now, granted, I'm not going to put some fancy slogan or any label on this, but if you're talking about reparations, where the money would come from, this would go right back into the system. Affirmative action, that's also in relation to DI as well, too. And not to mention this, but EEOC enforcement, $435 million for discrimination enforcement. All of this, race-based claims right back in Americans' pockets, increasing GDP. And not only this, but evidentially, I'm going to go on a little side tangent, but say whites are more responsible with all this budget cut compared to black communities at large. It's a fact.
I'm just writing down what you're saying because you're going all over the place. You're not answering my question once again. Can you define reparations in policy terms, right? So when you say DI spending, 68, 69% spending in DEI, cost systems a lot of money, there'll be a lot of reduction in DEI. Affirmative action, EOC enforcement, $435 million, race-based claims, evidentiary, side tangent, why are white people are more responsible for budget cut? None of that answers my question.
It does.
I'm going to ask you again. Can you define reparations in policy terms? What specific policy would you enact for reparations, specifically that black people need to pay to white people?
Remember what I said? I'm not going to put a fancy slogan or title on this. We're talking about structured initiatives designed to acknowledge and redress and close the gap caused by a lot of the systemic issues that we currently have in society right now. State-sanctioned injustices, like what's happening with DEI. Not only this, but what's happening with injury. Not to mention this, but lack of merit-based programs, things like this. These are structured initiatives. That's the definition of what I'm talking about. These are designed to acknowledge and magnify these issues that are happening. That's what that is.
You're once again not answering my question. Can you define reparations in policy terms? You're the one arguing in favor of reparations for black people to white people.
Direct material benefits.
What reparations in terms of policy would you apply? Stop rattling off Gish Gallop of a bunch of different points that don't have anything to do with one another. Answer the question.
Hold on.
Can you define reparations in policy terms?
Hold on, First Amendment. Matter of fact, not only am I supporting black people should pay white people, but I'm telling you why. When I tell you the why, you want me to go through definitions? We all know.
Define what you mean by reparations.
What
do you mean by reparations in policy terms? Are you okay?
Benefits. You're talking over.
This is a direct. I am directly asking you this question. Why can't you answer this simple question?
Direct material benefits.
Direct material. Okay. Yes. How so? How do you do the direct material benefits?
All of this is beyond cash, including apologies, education, scholarships, and things like that. We don't have the I would say the national advancement of white people, right? That doesn't.
I'm not asking the national investment of white people. I'm asking.
Are you listening to what
what direct material benefits do black Americans have to give to white Americans? How? What do you do?
I brought this up. Beyond cash, reparations can also include apologies, and not to mention this, but cutting DEI, cutting other programs that are race-based, cut out merit for the, I would say, for the common layman, things like this. This is one way we can do this. And remember, when I brought this up, it saves the taxpayer thousands of hundreds of dollars from doing this. We're actually doing things. This is just a common sense approach. And what you're doing is avoiding this by saying, okay, we're just going to keep these incentives for black people. For why? Because of their race? That's crazy. We're long gone from slavery and all these economic systems that you were saying was probably burdensome to the community, even redlining and all this. We're in 2026 right now. All you have is an emotional argument, bitching about a past that's long forgone right now. We're here right now. Set the slate clean and eliminate DEI programs and all these other things that are robbing our communities, and actually acknowledge the fact that black communities are costing thousands of dollars to taxpayers, and put this in the pockets of other communities who are more responsible with this GDP, and incentivize the community to actually start with a common sense approach. That's all I'm asking for.
So first of all, none of that is reparations. And so
that is
the direct material benefits. I don't know what you mean by what direct material benefits. What are you referring to?
EBT is cash, right? And
cutting EBT?
Did I say cutting EBT?
I'm asking you.
Yeah,
I'm asking you. Do you not understand? I don't understand what you're trying to say. Saying the word EBT doesn't mean anything. I'm saying, hey, you want to cut direct. You want direct material benefits. Black people have to give to white people. Stop talking.
You asked me a question.
You're asking direct material benefits. You're asking for. So what direct material benefits do you want to apply? Please define what you mean by reparations in policy terms. Go.
Literally telling you right now, as you're
because you're just filibustering. Explain it.
You're doing it again. I'm on the route to explain.
What a fucking idiot, dude. Let me know when he's done with his fucking idiotic nonsense.
Is this a micro wage quit right now? This is crazy. All right, as First Amendment gets a sippy cup right now, I brought up the material benefits that we have right now and the reduction of all of this outsourcing and waste that we have. This is crazy. The cope is premium right now.
Fuck.
So
what a douchebag.
So the losses.
Are you going to actually answer my question, or are you just going to make me drink more?
I'm talking about a reduction of program and waste that we have, senseless waste. That's what we would call the reparations, because we've been giving handouts to the black community through government-based programs for eons, I would say at this point, what it feels like for just being black. And to me, that this is crazy. I think we should incentivize a merit-based program again in society. It's just common sense. That's all I'm voting for, is common sense. I don't care about your emotional battle of drink.
Take a shot, chat, every time that he does not answer the question.
Every time you don't like my question, I guess you're liberal.
Okay.
Down.
So can you define reparations in policy terms? You started off good by saying direct material benefits, but what specifically? You can't just say direct material benefits. Give me an example. Give me policy wise. Yeah, cutting EBT is not reparations. That's not reparations. That's not what that is. That's not what that is. And also, FYI, cutting EBT, that affects the poor, not minorities.
The poor is
what are you talking about?
By black people.
So again,
that's causing
it is once again the overwhelming amount of people that accept that are poor is in fact white people in the USA by raw number, not by percentage, but definitely by raw number. So now I'm going to ask you once again, right? Can you define reparations in policy terms? You said specifically direct material benefits. So please go on. What direct material benefits would you apply in your policy term reparations? Go ahead.
Can I talk real quick? Because you're still talking with your
That was a question. Answer the question.
You made a claim. I'm going to address that. Then I'll get to your question.
What a fucking idiot. Take another shot, y'all. He ain't fucking answering the question. He's never going to answer the question. You know why? Because these morons aren't serious. They never were serious. Take a shot every time he doesn't answer the fucking question. Look at him crash out in the corner.
Thousands of dollars. That's the way that we're going to have this money come from. I don't think that we're going to outsource this money from some imaginary place. It has to come from somewhere. I would look at the net losses of GDP, and not only this systemically from these handouts that we give to black community. And when you talk about poverty is causal due to crime. Who commits crime? A lot of black culture commits crime. And when I say black culture, this is also bleeding over into white culture. I think that this is a net negative, costing the city thousands of dollars in our society, thousands of dollars, and setting us back into some form of slavery where we have to have immigrants come in and replace our population. That's what the black community is literally doing right now. I think that if we can reset a standard that basically eliminates DEI and all these other programs, that would put money back into our pocket. Now, when you're talking about how EBT is not reparations, literally we're giving black people handouts because they're making excuses. Where did this originate from? This was part and parcel from the black community. Whites are adopting this because of liberal agendas basically coming in and trying to cater for black people. That doesn't make any sense. All we need to do is revamp the culture and change culture and society to a merit-based program. That's all I'm arguing for. In reparations, this comes out of losses that we're making, basically because we're conceding to people because of their race and their skin color. That's ridiculous and stupid. It's just making excuses and handicapping the black person from succeeding in the future. You can't even address any of this that I brought up.
EBT is just simply a payment system like SNAP or WIC, for example. This is based on income, not on race. So cutting EBT would mean that you would want to get rid of wanting to feed the poor in what? To stop DEI or whatever. So again, none of this is policy. I need you to answer my question directly. Stop talking.
Go ahead.
I have four questions. We haven't even made it through the first. So I'm going to ask the same exact question again because you're once again not answering the question. Can you define reparations in policy terms? You started initially by saying direct material benefits. Great. Good start. Now, please explain, what do you mean? Define reparations in policy terms. Go ahead.
Okay. Localized efforts increasingly can be common in the U.S. if we actually put this money back in the taxpayers' pockets because of this loss of revenue through to all these incentivization for non-merit-based programs that we have that are also burdens on the system. When we think about this, successful implementation requires definitions, which I agree. You want to
take another fucking shot, guys, because he ain't fucking answering the question.
Get into
fuck me, dude. Fuck me.
Beyond that sounds real gay, by the way, because nobody.
I'm gonna be dead. I am going to be dead by the end of this debate because you are the king of Gish Gallop. The absolute you could be. I think that you should be a basketball player. You know why? Your fucking pivots are through the fucking roof. I cannot tell where your arguments are going. You're going to mention one thing and then you're going to bring up the Trump presidency when we're talking about whether or not black people should pay white people reparations. So once again, I'm asking you, please answer my fucking question. Can you define reparations in policy terms? Go.
Racist coming from you. You're going to tell a black person he should play basketball.
Define your policy. Get another shot, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, fucking Marte Reyes. Once again,
alcoholic.
He is questionless, not answering a single goddamn question. Go ahead.
All black people can do is play basketball and play sports. Yeah, white trope it again. That's. So did you come here to be an alcoholic or engage in me in a serious conversation about this?
No, I came to engage in a very serious conversation with you. So I'm asking you, since you seem to be in the for that black people should pay white people reparations, surely you could answer the simplest question of defining what you mean by reparations in policy terms. So you started by saying direct material benefits. Now you're saying local efforts in the USA, putting it into taxpayer pockets and incentivization of non-merit-based programs. More non-answers. Give me an actual answers. Define reparations in policy terms. Go.
All right. You're not even contending with the argument that I have right now, and you're trying to
just answer the question.
Look,
fuck, take another shot, everybody. He ain't answering the fucking question.
This guy is not even serious, but I have a solution-oriented approach, which you don't even want to contend with.
Answer the fucking question.
When I bring this up,
stop talking meta. That's what right-wingers like to
here,
do.
one sec. Let me see if I can help bridge a little bit of a gap here. What I think Amender's asking here, from what I'm hearing, it's like he's asking us, or he's asking you, like, how much, by what authority? Because I think the first thing you said there was material.
What I'm asking is, I want him to define what reparations he wants in policy terms. Specifically, tell me what are black people going to do for white people? What is going to happen? Where are the reparations? EBT is FYI. Removing EBT is not a reparation. That's not what that is. It is a payment delivery system for SNAP and things like WIC. Okay,
So
it's not.
Just to be clear, you're asking him like who pays, who receives, what's the form of payment, what's the justification principle,
policy. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the breakdown. Okay, I was just trying to maybe.
This is literally question one out of 4 questions I have written down.
So I think what Amender's asking is like, I think like the form of payment is a big part of what Amender's asking here and how that happens.
Yeah, the form of payment was what I was talking about. If we cut these waste in these government programs that we have that just cater to people just because of their skin color and because of their race, we're going to have this go back into the taxpayer's pocket. Yeah, when I bring this up, he doesn't want to contend with that and says, okay, well, where does the money come from when I just explained where the money is going to come from? What this does is it's a beautiful program, and it's not having blacks go out of their way to do something substantial that they already do. I'm just saying to operate on a common sense approach, eliminate these favorable programs that just cater to people just because of their race and skin color. And if we eliminate this, we'll literally put the money in losses back into taxpayers' pockets just because of this. We can go across the board. This would be eliminating programs such as DEI. This would be critical race theory bullshit classes that we have. And not to mention this, the education rates would skyrocket, putting education back into black communities' pockets so that way they can earn more money.
Take another drink, Chad. He ain't fucking answering the question again, but go ahead and keep going on your stupid filibuster.
Answers your question. All of them goes back into their pocket.
Let me ask you this.
And
what is a reparation?
To do this,
we have to start square fucking one because you have no idea what you're talking about. What is a reparation?
Okay, so reparation is paying back people through maybe probably harm and experience, some societal impact that's burdened a society or people from harm. And I would say like the Japanese have gotten this because of the fact that that they've been enslaved at a certain period. And it's just, all this is just accommodations. Okay. You know what?
I'm going to help you out, right?
Setting the bar back.
Reparations, right, is an affirmative compensation for harm. Okay?
That's what I said.
It is write that down. I need you to write that down.
I don't have to. I just elaborated on that.
Okay, you know what it is. Great. So bringing up cutting a program.
Yes.
That's not a reparation, is it?
That's
all you're doing is reducing spending or access.
Yes.
Those are totally separate categories. A reparation is, once again, is an affirmative compensation for harm, not reducing spending across the board.
Great.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you once again, you're not answering the fucking question. One more time. Can you define reparations in policy terms? And no, ending DEI practices is not that. And no, cutting EBT is not that. Please define, because you accurately defined what reparations are, and you know what reparations are. Okay. Give me a policy of reparations that black people have to give to white people. Go in policy terms.
I'm going to address the first point you made, even though you answered a question. You're not going to go ahead and have you bite bullets that I'm not going to accept. Matter of fact, let's contend with this real quick. When you say that people are just spending money and we're just going to get this from somewhere, I've actually allocated these funds by cutting out these programs. That's crazy. It's a form of reparation. All of this is a form of reparation.
Take another shot, y'all. He's once again not answering the question. What is wrong with you?
That's a form of reparations because black people have been getting handouts for a long time. All this does is handicap the community from moving forward, keeping them in a slave state mind. That's all I'm saying. This is a very common sense approach. And the fact that you won't even accept this, you want people just to get handouts forever? No, I think we should have a merit-based system in America. And where we're talking about reparations. Yes, white people are being harmed by this. How is DEI not harming people? How is not race swapping harming people? How is not recruiting from other nations to replace ourselves with other blacks harming people? That changes our culture and traditions and everything else. Not to mention, this is beyond financial and monetary losses that we're talking about. This is cultural incentivization, loss of our religious beliefs and ideals and everything else. This is more than a financial loss that we're talking about. Reparations don't even have to be financial, First Amender. This could be the recoup of the values that we have as Americans. We don't have to lose on account of slavery that's been foregone. All we have to do is wipe the slate clean and say, blacks, because you cost us $3,000 during the riots and everything else, hey, guess what? We're not going to put up with this bullshit anymore, and we're going to eliminate all these race-based programs that incentivize the American taxpayer by having common sense approach. That's all I'm saying, First Amender.
So just to keep the definition tight for both sides, I think this is what's going on here, what we're missing. So like usually in policy terms, it usually means like a targeted like a compensation transfer or a benefit, right? So like usually some type of cut would be a policy preference rather than a reparation. So are you saying that like you have using a different definition when it comes to reparations, or are you wanting to argue cuts instead?
No, that's
I just want like a so you guys aren't talking, like, clarify whether you're redefining reparations or making a separate claim.
So I'll even clear this up real quick for you, Speakeasy, and I'll make this really plain to the audience as well too. The black community has been getting handouts for a long time. This isn't through EBT. This is also through systemic programs that we have, not to mention this, but handouts. And also societally, we'll even redefine things like black entertainment television. We have white entertainment television. It'd be racist. Whites are basically hamstrung all the time when it comes to educational programs like the NAACP. If national advancement of white people happen, oh shit, we don't have scholarships for that, but blacks have scholarships and free government handouts because of their black skin color and complexion. These are our reparations, but redefined in a different way where we're giving handouts to blacks. So when black people say we should get reparations, you've been getting them the whole time. And this is through handouts because, oh shit, you're black. Okay, you're more likely to do this. We'll have a grant for you, but there's no grants for white people. There's no grants for anybody else that's Eastern European. There's only grants for people who are people of skin color and race. These are reparations. Where is this coming from? Taxpayer funded. We're even saying donors and everything like that. That's what I'm saying. That's my form of reparations that they've been getting in various forms. I'm only touching the iceberg on this too.
All right. I have a diagram that I would like to share if I could. Speakeasy, can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And are you able to share that with everybody else? Does it
I'll bring it up.
You make it nice and big for everybody to see. So this right here is what is called a pivot in basketball. Okay, where you can avoid what is happening. You could hold on. I just want to. I don't even know why I'm showing this to him. He's an expert at this. He is God King of pivoting. If you could just please, basketball. If you could just please do me a favor and just answer the question directly instead of spending and wasting my time with another pivot, I would really be very appreciative of it. Okay, you can remove that now. I'm happy.
I hear what you're saying.
So once again, I'm going to ask you once again. Can you define reparations in policy terms? This is question 1 of 4.
I just did.
You didn't.
That
you
is my
didn't.
definition of
you didn't. So explain it. Explain. Define what you ending DEI programs is not a reparation. We've already agreed that reparations are an affirmative compensation of harm. If you are referring to an affirmative compensation of harm, affirmative is not removing the funding for some perceived thing that you think of. That's not what a reparation is. If you're talking about we should remove these things and that would be reparations,
yes.
That's not what a reparation is. That's not what it is.
Your definition.
You shouldn't have. Here's the thing. You know what's the worst part about this? You're the one that came up with this prompt.
It's a
You're the one that is asking me. No, it's not. You're an no, it's not. You're just an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a moron that has no idea what he is talking about. Didn't even Google what a fucking reparation was, and then just wanted to pivot and talk about fucking nonsense while having no ability to even engage in the actual questions.
Form of reparation, First Amendment.
All right.
Went over this and entailed this, and then you go over
All right.
diatribe of me playing.
Now let's try. Well, I mean, it's obvious to me that you're just going to pivot on the next fucking question. Okay, so rather than me ask you the same question, because it's obvious that you have zero policy, you have no accurate definition of a reparation in policy terms. So automatically, already on this on its face, you're not serious about this. If you cannot answer that simple question, you're not serious about this. So now we're gonna go. No, but that's not a fucking reparation, idiot. Hey, idiot. That's not what that is.
Hold on.
Reparations. Reparations. Jesus Christ, man. We need to have affirmative action in your fucking college so that way you can fucking learn your freaking your basic freaking logic here. This is fucking insane. Let's try one more time. Number 2. Okay, number 2. Let's try it this way.
Aspirin as a minor, as a youth.
Please provide me what specific race-based federal policy targeted white Americans. Give me a very real race-based policy, federal policy that negatively impacts white Americans. That doesn't affect America. That doesn't affect white people.
It does. DI only.
No, it fucking doesn't. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. That affected minorities. That doesn't affect white people. And if anything, that affects white people positively. DEI affects the part that the fucking idiot right-wingers like to think. They like to think the idiot right-wing thing where they're like, oh, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That mean like black people and black people bad. Black people need be merit-based, despite the fact that we have created redlining laws and all sorts of stuff that specifically discriminate against black people and fuck everybody else. And we're going to give all the good stuff for white people. And then we wonder why black people do very badly. But once again, right, I'm asking you, right, what specific race-based federal policy targeted white Americans negatively? Please.
How does DEI help white people? You just lied to me. Go ahead.
Okay, the part that Republicans like to think or forget about is called DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and then there's an A at the end of it. Did you know that there's an A?
How does that help white people?
That's the part that everybody forgets. It's called accessibility. So people that have, say, mental health issues, or if they have some physical malady, so that includes white people. That positively affects white people. Are you in favor of, say, handicapped spaces?
You want to look?
Are you in favor of handicapped spaces?
No, DEI has systemic.
You're not in favor of handicapped spaces. Get rid of the ramps.
Let him answer.
Handicapped people.
That's not what I said. Matter of fact, you're mischaracterizing this right now.
I'm asking you.
When it comes to white people, this is it had been overarching overcorrection of affecting white people. DEI harms white people. It doesn't aid in white people when it comes to DEI. Now, you can go to the minority of maybe handicapped people and all these other people who get in through DEI, but that program, once cut, will actually have a merit-based systemic approach to the job market. Matter of fact, if you eliminate, that's a net positive. We should get rid of DEI. You're arguing for handicapping black people so that way they can go ahead and be handicapped from improving on merit-based systems. Well, they can't even do this because you're handicapping them by giving them free handouts. Just because of the color of their skin, you're going to have a pilot flying your plane that's less competent to fly it compared to John, who has an education and more competent to fly a jet than Shaniqua Stevens. This is crazy. Merit-based program. All I'm talking about.
You have no idea what you're talking about. Okay.
You can't tell me that
DEI also helps white people. I don't know how else to communicate this with you. I'm like, remove like you talking about podcast after podcast after podcast saying the same nonsense DEI bullshit. I'm saying take the time to actually read what DEI includes. So let's say, DEI isn't necessarily about race. Okay. What it's designed to do is remove barriers to make workplaces fairer and more inclusive.
That's the American Disability.
That also can benefit white. That's a fucking DEI.
No.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about.
The separate
what can benefit
that we have.
It can benefit white employees just as much as other people. Okay. If you have, for example, better mental health and psychological safety when employees feel respected and heard, that would be an example of DEI. That also affects white people. Okay. If you have, say, fewer conflicts, better teamwork, higher morale when people are feeling included, which also include white people. It's not necessarily race based.
Imaginary.
Right? It's not. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Right? I'm trying to explain to you that DEI doesn't have to be race specific. There are non-race specific benefits that many people value. Okay. But you don't know what you're talking about. Things like, for example, do you support paid family leave?
Yeah, I can say that could be a separation of that. Yes, for sure.
Wait, that's DEI. That's a part of DEI that positively affects.
Let's create a
specifically that will positively affect people that are pregnant, which is women. Women get positively affected by paid family leave. Also in favor of men doing that of paid family leave as well. Okay, but again, that's a form of DEI. Flexible scheduling, that's a form of DEI. Accommodating somebody for their disabilities, that's also DEI. Anti-bias hiring practices to ensure qualifications do matter. That's DEI. These are things that legitimately do help white people.
No, DEI, if you ask...
Oh my God. Oh my God. He's stupid.
Actually, we already know it affects white people. There's no way to say that this hasn't been turned into a race-based program. You can say initially...
I'm going to ask the question one more time.
Initially, in its onset,
this is on question 2.
ADA,
and don't pivot.
Universally, but when we
just want you to not pivot.
DEI has been weaponized against us.
Yeah, I get it. You're stuck in podcast mode, right?
That's not
I'm trying to get you into conversation mode, right? No, you're just parroting the same shit that idiot podcasters say. So I'm going to ask you. Once again, what specific race-based federal policy targeted white Americans? Because DEI is affecting everybody. That would positively affect everybody, including white Americans. I'm asking specifically, what specific race-based federal policy targeted specifically white Americans in a negative way? Go.
I brought up DEI, which is a race-based program, and you don't want to contend with that, which is crazy. This is a fallacious...
Because it positively affects white people too, you fucking moron.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
Look at
but saying no doesn't make the problem any less wrong.
Because I'm going to describe this right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He's actually fucking brain rotted, dude. He's not answering the fucking question.
I just want to try and steer us back because is there a way that we can someone here directly connect the DEI to the framework with the reparations?
So I will real quick. DEI negatively affects...
It has nothing to do with it, actually.
Let him answer first.
I have a shitty mic, first of all, so when he talks, it cuts me out and I can't talk. So I'm fighting my mic and him at the same time too. But back to this. DEI affects everybody. So when we talk about reparations can be something like a handout, right? It can't just be a handout. This can be in the form of apologies, everything else, and a systemic change. So let me go ahead and actually detail this for you and make it really simple. This is a form of DEI when we put the money back into taxpayers' pockets because DEI is a net negative to society, which overarchingly is an overcorrection that affects white people. So when we're talking about this, the devaluation of this to society as a net negative would actually put money right back into American taxpayers' pockets. There's no way you could say DEI more impacts society in a good way because as a merit-based system, it doesn't work that way. We all know that this has been weaponized against white people. That's a proven fact societally as well too. It's been a net negative. DEI has also siphoned funds from us by giving people jobs who aren't deserving of this, costing taxpayers thousands of dollars through accident claims, increasing because of this, because Shaniqua got this because she's black compared to Bob the Builder, who's more competent at this job. That saves money. All I'm coming at you is common sense, so that way we can incentivize Americans to use a common sense approach and approach this by not siphoning funds from the national, I would say, financial burden of responsibility of just having people get handouts. That's all I'm saying, is denying these handouts is a form of reparation because it goes back into people's pockets. That's all I'm saying. That's the reason why I brought up DEI. That's it.
So I think what's happening is a definition dispute when it comes to reparations. Like, so the affirmative here you're saying is it can include a targeted like tax relief as a restitution, where the negative says reparations require the active transfer. So why don't both sides here argue why your definition preserves the meaning of reparations rather than stretching it?
We both agreed to what reparations were. I said reparations are an affirmative compensation for harm. He said that's what I said, which would mean he agrees with that.
Reparations is a form of trying to repair. You ever notice that the word repair is in reparations? If we think about this, we're trying to repair broken system dynamics that we have right now. The best way to do this and incentivize American taxpayers is to repair the current damages happening right now. I did bring up the George Floyd riots and the BLM riots because that was a race-based thing to happen. And we look at this socially, it costs taxpayers thousands or hundreds of dollars, and we justify this through losses. We'll say we'll justify this through losses, and then also give BLM such, I would say, government funding has actually went toward this as well too, to incentivize them for what? This makes no sense. All I'm saying is to not waste spending. Let me just make this more concise. If we cannot waste spending, we're saving money. This money goes back into taxpayer pockets and actually improves the competency and wellness of normal Americans and sets us on the right track. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So DEI, once again, isn't necessarily about race. Okay. I'm gonna tell you again. Okay. For example, right, DEI can be used for better mental health and psychological safety when employees feel when they're respected or heard, right? There's also the fact that reparations themselves, they're used specifically as, and I want to be very clear, as an affirmative compensation. Okay, it is specifically compensating somebody for some past thing. That's why it says it's an affirmative, as in you're making active steps to compensating somebody. Okay, not so the negation of the fact would literally not be a reparation. You're the one who came up with this debate prompt. Do you actually agree with the idea of an affirmative compensation for harm blacks have done on whites?
Let's address the lie that you said DEI has nothing to do with sex or race. That's asinine. It absolutely has a lot to do with sex and race.
What a fucking idiot. He won't answer
the fact.
The
You're denying a fact. No, because I'm not going to bite these bullets that you keep throwing at me and also inserting a lot.
It's not biting a bullet. It's a fucking question and you won't answer them. You're just pivoting.
I'm not going to accept lies that you tell me throughout this debate. I can answer a question, but also
I wrote down what you said, dickhead. What do you mean lies?
Well,
all I did was say the things to you back and then re-asked the same question because you won't answer the fucking question. So what do you mean lies? What am I lying? No, it's not an ad hom. You're just an idiot. Dickhead. I'm not wasting. That's not the part of the argument. The argument is I want to see if you're actually serious about this.
Is dickhead a part of the argument?
You once again could not define what reparations you meant in policy terms. And once again, I'm asking you, and I haven't got a single goddamn note on this question because you once again keep pivoting. What specific race-based federal policy has targeted white Americans negatively? Please explain it to me.
I mentioned DEI, and you're not.
DEI doesn't negatively affect white people, you moron.
It does negatively.
Oh my God. He's so stupid. He is so stupid. It hurts.
Hold on. Can I ask you,
dude?
Let Marte answer, and then Marte also, maybe you can also add in like specifically how DEI functions as a reparation mechanism, or they're like taking it away would.
Okay, so if we're talking about DEI, I bring this up, and when I say that it affects, it is specifically targeted towards race and sex, and he says no. Well, diversity and inclusion, that is part and parcel with all this. When we're saying if you're white and heterosexual as a male, we'll turn you away because we need to have a balance and a quota of white people that are liberal women. And I would say overarchingly, that's what's happening right now. That's the mainstay of the nation as far as DEI. What he says is like in purpose, this is what DEI is supposed to do, but it's been weaponized against white men in America. Literally, this is what it's doing. And it's almost like he has got a veil over his eyes. And to answer your question, when we talk about this speakeasy, if we actually eliminate these programs, it will save us thousands of dollars putting money back into taxpayers' pockets who aren't responsible for this. We want to promote, I would say, merit-based programs. This isn't a merit-based program. All this does is handicap people who are begging for handouts from racism that has happened a long time ago that they never experienced. Matter of fact, like I said, there's not a white person available now that's ever owned America in slaves or also witnessed slavery or was able to stop it at the time. All you're going to do is penalize white people who are who have nothing to do with this. So if you woke up First Amendment and you saw $400 from reparations taken out of your paycheck, would you be pissed?
Jesus Christ, he's so stupid. He won't answer the question. You're not answering my question once again, okay?
I asked you a question.
No, because once again, you keep answering the question by saying it's DEI.
Speakeasy answered the question.
You keep saying that the question is DEI.
Speakeasy asked
the answer to the question isn't DEI. And the reason why is because DEI is not designed to target white people. Okay. The whole point of DEI is to reduce systemic barriers for underrepresented groups, which does also include white people. Okay. I understand that there are some white men or some individuals, especially men, who look at DEI initiatives like, I don't know what, like bias training or an outreach program that somehow it disadvantages white people, right? Which you're not even white, which is,
I don't have,
and that there's this idea that it is, I didn't say you had to be. And then
what does that have to do with anything?
What that does is that that fuels this idea of there being a reverse discrimination.
What?
Legally and officially, just so you're aware. What?
That makes no sense. Matter of fact, you pivot to basketball and me being black and I'm not white. This sounds like a bigot talking to me right now. This is crazy. Almost like racist First Amenders talking to me.
I'm going to tell you once again,
with the
legally and officially,
right now.
Legally and officially,
you're not taking this seriously.
DEI is not meant in any way to harm whites. Data shows that whites still remain advantaged in most sectors. Okay, I understand that there's a perception of being targeted, becoming a flashpoint in political and cultural debates. However, by sheer metric, whites are advantaged in most sectors. DEI does not harm white people. It also benefits white people. So I'm going to ask you once again, what specific race-based federal policy has targeted white Americans? Do not say DEI. That's not an answer.
Oh, that is an answer. You just don't want to accept.
Oh my God, no, because it's idiotic. It's idiotic. I just explained to you why it's idiotic, and it doesn't work. White Americans are also positively affected by DEI practices, whether you like it or not. It also includes accessibility, which also includes things like paternal leave, which is a part of DEI. That's all DEI. White people benefit from DEI. So I want to understand what specific race-based federal policy has targeted white Americans. Answer the question.
Because 14% of whites are benefited doesn't mean that the other 75% are saying, okay, well,
take a drink, everybody. He's once again not answering the fucking question.
Doesn't mean that whites are.
Holy shit, my whole chat is super fucking drunk.
Yourself there. And I just want to just maybe help clarify something here. Are you arguing that DEI created like a measurable economic injury to white people, and like removing it would be a form of restitution?
There's been a trickle down of there's been actually a catastrophic event that's happened in America recently where not only DEI but other systems are affected by DEI too, because And I asked First Amendment a question, two things. If he woke up and $400 was missing from his paycheck, would he be pissed about this? Even though he's never owned a slave or any of this other stuff, would he be mad about this? Probably yes. And also, I want to ask him a question. Would you want a DEI heart surgeon if this happened? Right. Most likely it's probably not going to be a white person, because if we're talking about the stark minority when it comes to DEI affecting him, yeah, it does affect the stark minority of white people in a positive way, but that's not what it's been weaponized for. When we talk about in DEI's inception, when it was created, yes, this was supposed to help everybody else, but that's not what it's been used for. You're denying the objective reality that right now socially, that this has been weaponized against white people. And when I bring this up, you don't want to contend with this because it destroys your whole fucking argument.
If you acknowledge that it has positively affected white people, then that means that it is not a specific race-based federal policy that targets white Americans negatively. Please explain to me a specific race-based federal policy that negatively affected white Americans, please.
So here's the thing, though. So when I bring this up, you don't ever want to address this. That's why we can't get past this. You just don't want to bite the bullet. You don't want to eat that when that is a specific race-based policy that we have. You just don't want to take it because you're saying, well, because one white person can benefit from this, it doesn't mean whites don't benefit from this. That's not the point. Overarchingly, it's an overcorrection of something that has systemically weaponized, been used against us as a whole. Blacks are affected by this as well too, because what happens is education suffers and we lose money. Not to mention that, but it also increases crime when we have less quality of teachers because they're just hired because they're black or whatever else like this. There's a trickle-down approach where it affects everything else and crime rises. Education levels are plummeting through the basement right now. Job market's plummeting through the basement right now when it comes to safety. Safety is decreasing through the basement as well too. So I'm pretty sure OSHA's having a deal right now to deal with all this and recover all this. So when we talk about reparations, we have to recover financial recoups from losses from all these programs that have happened. And we can't even get past DEI because you don't want to accept that DEI affects white people as a whole. Systematically, it does. And the fact that you're denying objective reality is crazy.
All right. Then define with me, what measurable economic damage did that policy cause?
I just went over the whole detail about how this affects.
No, you pivoted to all sorts of things that are unrelated to one another. So I'm asking you a very directed question. You believe DEI has caused economic harm to white people. Show me.
Okay, are you done talking?
Yeah, show me.
Okay, as I've talked about with DEI affects hiring in the job market. And we're not talking about merit-based programs with education. You're hiring lower quality people. This jeopardizes systems and also decreases and reduces safety, which costs thousands of millions of dollars to taxpayers, which are mostly white Americans due to blacks and minorities through DEI hires. These are damages that need to be recouped, and we can reverse this if we eliminate this problem. And also this program that also caters to blacks. And not only that, but minorities for not merit-based programs and not merit-based incentives. That's crazy. That's how this affects everybody. Me too. It affects you. It affects Speakeasy and everybody else.
I didn't hear a measurable economic damage. So I'm going to ask you once again. You say that DEI has caused measurable economic damage to white Americans. Fabulous. Amazing. Show me. So what that means is don't open your gob.
Oh, you don't want
what that means is pull up a fucking paper and show me measurable economic damage.
Okay.
Specifically that DEI caused to white Americans. Go.
You want me to look this up? Because I can look this up as
yes, look up something so I can read it.
Okay, because I know, trust me, bro, doesn't work. And even when I talk about objective reality, you know,
correct, it doesn't, because you're an idiot that has no idea what he's talking about.
All right, let's go to it.
Correct. That's why I need an academic source, because I don't trust morons like you. That's correct. So now, please, if you could, I need to know what measurable economic damage the policy caused white people in terms of DEI. Show me.
So you showing me a white person playing basketball to a black person pivoting is not only bigoted, but that also doesn't help either. So
what a fucking idiot. He cannot answer one question. We're on the third question. He can't answer a single fucking question. What measurable economic damage did that policy cause? Show me.
So hold on. When I brought up,
he's opening he's opening his gob again, as if anything he's going to say is going to make a fucking difference. What measurable economic damage did the policy cause? Show me.
Notice how he interrupts me when I tell them I'm not only acting.
What a fucking douche.
Let him answer. Let him answer first, Amanda.
So he's got plenty of ad homs right now and nothing to actually contend with the DEI argument, which I brought up and thoroughly went over how this systemically affects everybody, not just black people, but Americans as a whole.
I haven't even made an argument because you won't answer a single fucking question solidifying your point.
Let him finish.
You won't answer.
So when I did bring this up and I said, I'm looking this up and I had a conversation through this, the guy kept calling me dickhead and all this stuff. Not only is he a bigot, but he doesn't want to contend with the argument that I brought up. I want to actually get past this diversity and equity inclusion thing that's been weaponized towards white people. When we say this, if we eliminate these programs, it's going to help a whole lot. Matter of fact, I'm looking this up right now on the causal circumstances because we obviously know that these stats that I brought up in the beginning of the debate, I can actually look this up, but we don't even, let's move past DEI if you don't want to do that, but I'm still going to look that up just because I'm good faith anyways. Hold on 1 second real quick while I look this up. I mean, I think it would be like an objective reality that we can all see, but I don't mind looking this up as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of articles right now, but I want to get to a source because I don't want to give you everything else.
Would love it.
Right. That's what I'm leaning towards right now because there's so many articles right now, but I want to give you something that actually shows real metrics displaying how this handicap.
Well, so one thing that I like to use, just FYI, and I've used this this is many times. Have you ever heard of consensus.app?
No, I have not heard of this consensus.app.
Okay. So I tend to use it whenever I have a strict scientific question, because what it does is that it aggregates all just as thousands and thousands of papers into a single source to see what is the exact scientific consensus regarding a scientific question. This is not a standard AI app, but it does use AI learning. And I just want to show you right here, right? This is not one study. This is an aggregate of many, many studies all put together, asking it a general question. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Just give me a second. I have to share the consensus.app. Okay. Do you see it? Are you able to make it big for me?
Yep. Just a second there.
Okay. So I asked, all I did was ask it a very simple question that anybody can ask it. What measurable economic damage did DEI cause? So the evidence on the economic effects of DEI programs is largely mixed, with no clear, reliably quantified net economic damage identified so far. Has DEI been shown to cause measurable net economic harm? So there is a study right here that says yes. It's actually a single paper back in 2023, and it said that it was a single commentary in a non-peer-reviewed news outlet claiming large-scale economic harm from the lack of DEI. However, it is lacking empirical data. There is, however, 90% no by 9 papers saying multiple peer-reviewed empirical studies and theoretical models, often with larger diverse samples, found no measurable economic damage from DEI and sometimes report positive effects. So I want to just go over this. right? Because I really, what I'm interested in is I want to get to the truth of the matter. Okay. I want to understand where people are getting things from. I want to understand your perspective, and I genuinely want to have these good faith debates. I don't want to call you an idiot, but when I find that there is no substance behind the argument, it's incredibly frustrating.
It's in the back chat. Speak easy.
So hold on, no, bring it back. Wait, bring it back. What the research actually measures is,
I actually have something that contradicts everything that you just put up, but we can go through this right now.
What? Okay, so
Pew Research. I have that in the back, but let's
go ahead. Share it. We'll you can remove mine, and then we'll move on. Go ahead. What you got?
Intern. Let's scroll down a little bit real quick.
Just let me get what you sent me up here. So this is what you.
So when we scroll down, scroll down, and then I don't know if you want to accept the cookies or not to get out of your screen, but that's what we do right now. I'll even read this right now. More Americans say DEI practices help rather than hurt Black, Hispanic, and Asian women, as well as white women. In turn, far more Americans.
Can you?
Where are we? Sorry.
Okay. Can you link this so I can read it?
Right where there's a graph on the right side.
Can you link it in chat so I can read it?
Yeah, right there. Speakeasy, right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll even read this right now. In turn, far more Americans say DEI hurts white men.
Look at the Pew Research.
Hurts white men than it helps them. 36% versus 14%. That's a huge gap right there. These findings come from two recent surveys.
What is the title of this paper? Can you go to the top so I can read it? Because it just went to immigrant populations instead of the actual.
I can send you the link in the back here. I thought.
Can you just throw it in the chat? Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, views of DEI have slightly become more negative among U.S. workers. That's the title of it.
You see it there in the back?
Yeah, I understand that people view it negatively, right? But in terms of actual economic impact, that's not observed. We don't have any evidence of that.
You just contradicted yourself. People observe this, and then you say it's not observed.
People feel a way, but that doesn't make it fucking true.
Feeling. You said it's observed, and now
listen. If I'm, say, for example, if I am in a room filled with flat earthers, it doesn't matter if everybody in the room thinks the room is flat and I don't think the room is flat. It doesn't matter if they all mog me in a debate saying flat earth is real. That doesn't make it true. That's not how this works.
Hold on. Do you know how
just because people feel a specific way doesn't mean that the fact is real. So I'm asking you once again to please answer my question. What measurable economic damage did DEI cause? Show me an actual source. I understand that there's people that feel a specific way, but that doesn't mean a real measured economic harm.
These are measured circumstances. So you're denying Pew Research right now with the three graphs.
What a douchebag. You're not understanding at all what I'm saying.
Real quick,
not even attempting.
This is more than just feelings right now. We're talking about the GDP.
Not answering the question. Once again, chat.
I am.
One second. I'll let you finish your answer there, Marte. But we are coming to the end of the hour here, and usually when it's still a little fiery, I usually like to offer if you guys would both like another 30 minutes of open floor.
No, I'm good. Go straight into questioning. There's no way we're getting anywhere with this moron. I'm 3 questions in, and I got no answer on all 3 questions. Not a single answer to any of the fucking questions. He could not answer a single one. I asked him, hey, can you define? Actually, this is best for conclusions. So go ahead.
First Amendment, the DEI argument.
Do you want to
whole claim? That's why.
Do you guys want another 30 minutes or?
No, I'm good. I've got work in the morning. Honestly, okay. I really do. I have work in the morning.
All right. Marte, I said you could answer that question before we get into so go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. When we look at this, it's measurable as well, too. We're talking about workers being compensated. 47% of whites are shown that DEI practices hurt the workplace when it comes to white men. 29% of white adults say DEI practices hurt white women, which is a lower amount because that's white women. All of these were measured, and not to mention this, but there's also graphs that also elaborate how they're financially hurt as well too from the company aspect of this. And they're talking about DEI practices in the workplace. Companies are actually down from actually 16% to 21%. There's been a change in workers, and also not only safety, and all this has been elaborated in this peer research as well too. Not only do the graphs talk about this, but you're denying the peer research that we're showing through graphs and also this. So whenever I bring up something that's peer research, which is also peer reviewed research as well too, you want to deny it, and you don't like this because you don't want to bite the bullet on this because it destroys your whole fucking argument. That's all I'm saying.
All right. And so that is going to conclude the open floor. So first off, excellent exchange from both sides tonight. We're going to enter into the final phase of the debate here, the closing statements. I just want to remind you all in the live chat that the Q&A is there in the live chat. So get your questions in. But remember, the Super Chats, PayPals, Cash Apps, these will get priority. And if they fill up the whole 30 minutes, we may not get to your questions there. So if you got something you really want to ask, send it through one of those options, and we'll make sure it gets asked. With that said, we're going to move into closings. We're going to start with Marte, so that will give Amanda the last word. So, Marte, whenever you are ready for your closing statement, I will start the timer up with your voice.
Okay, so I brought up the stats in the beginning and also cited my sources as well too. And then when he asked me for an evidentiary claim, and then I brought it up. And the reason why we stuck on DEI is because he says something which is asinine and really crazy, by the way. That's not an ad hom, but the statement that he said is asinine. That's what I'm talking about, not him as a person. Meanwhile, he continues to ad hom me through this debate. Not once have I ad hommed him one time, because I just want to contend with the argument, because he believes that white people aren't negatively affected, which is crazy. This is a crazy notion. If you ask or even poll anybody, according to Pew Research too, they have shown that systematically this is negatively affecting everything. So when I bring up the riots, the way that the black community works is they literally cost taxpayers thousands of dollars. And then when I run this train of logic saying that when blacks move into neighborhood, property value goes down, gee, I wonder what this causes. And then he brings up poverty too, which is causal because of crime. This actually puts more white people in poverty as well too. So yes, EBT is closely affected by this as well too. So although I can say that EBT needs a total overhaul, because I think that we could change things, like if a black person robs from a grocery store, I think she should be cut off. These aren't happening right now. We're giving black people too much of a pass. They're siphoning our nation's wealth, and we're allowing more blacks, which are Somalians, to come in the nation and siphon our wealth right now. Insert the Somali thing that's happening right now. Matter of fact, if these Somalians are taking so much money from our system, I think that money should be given back to us, because it's causing Americans pain and anguish. The reparations that we need are to repair damage and anguish. Are Somalians black? Yes. Should we get reparations from this incident that happened in Minnesota? Yes. That's a form of reparation when we reverse these systems and eliminate these programs that afford them the right to rob us in broad daylight when we're having these systemic issues that happen with ICE that are distraction from the Somali epidemic. That's also a demonstrably example of how blacks are costing white people and everybody else taxpayer funding and money. I don't even want to go over the diatribe over how much this has cost Americans in the long run, but also systemically, we have programs like the NAACP and all this. Meanwhile, whites can't have any of these programs. No whites can have any of these programs. They're literally denied this by causing pain. This is a reduction of scholarship, a reduction of opportunities, a reduction of business as well too. Because if I owned a white-owned barbershop, that's racist as hell. But if a black person had a black-owned barbershop, oh, kudos to you, you're good, brother. Let's stand up for the man, right? Against the man. To me, we have to reverse these social changes that have happened right now, because all that is just covert reverse racism towards white people. When we're saying that blacks can be proud of their race, but white people can't because something that happened eons ago, is crazy. All that does is hamstring white people from development, from actually increasing our infrastructure. And I'll tell you why. DEI, if you're having shitty teachers, that produces more of a black inmate population. That's what I'm saying. So this also affects us systemically. So we have to babysit more people who are incarcerated, and recidivism rises up because of this. I've not only detailed this specifically, but First Amendment wants to say, well, I don't like your source when I bring up peer-reviewed research and all this, and then also cite stats. Well, I don't like that. I don't like DEI because originally its inception, from what I get from his argument, is it's not a racist program and it's not geared toward race. Well, actually, that's what it is. It's geared toward race and sex. And what has it been used for? He wants to deny the reality that it blocks white men from getting jobs who are actually more of a hard worker than a black person than Shaniqua trying to fly the jet, which actually you'd have Soul Plane Part 2, which would end up in just a fucking accident if this was a realistic thing. And let's face it, First Amendment wakes up, $400 is missing from his check because his dream of incentivizing black people through reparations, even though he's never owned a slave, never, not only not owned a slave, but never seen slavery himself, but he's going to wake up and see $400. He'd say that there's a robbery that happened. And although he may not respect the federal government, he would respect the IRS if they took this from his funds. And then not to mention this, First Amendment goes into the hospital, bless his heart if this would ever happen. I'm not praying that this happens. He doesn't want to have a DI heart surgeon, which would mostly be a black person or some guy from India or something like that. The reparations are damages from recouping compensation from the inept programs that we have right now. So DEI, and not to mention this, but the reparations can be, and when I say reparations, that is a form of reparations. I end it right there.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. And with that, we're going to hand the mic over to First Amender. Whenever you are ready for your closing statement, I will start the timer up with your voice.
So the claim that we started with was that Black Americans somehow owe white Americans reparations. We've asked for specifics. What federal policy are targeting white people? What measurable economic harm did it cause? And there was no answer. That's because the reason why is because there actually literally is no historical or legal basis for that idea. That's why I've asked those questions. The only example that was even remotely offered would be DEI programs. However, empirically, those do not harm white people. In fact, they actually benefit everybody by reducing bias. It improves workplace fairness, and it creates for better opportunities. DEI is about fairness. It's not about creating a debt that is owed to anyone and therefore would not be reparations. This argument is a classical reversal of victimhood. It flips history on its own head and basically just treats historically oppressed as the oppressors. It's just not reality. I'm sorry, it's just not. Reparations, where they do exist, are about governments that address a systemic harm, not about some arbitrary racial accounting or punishing people today for histories that they didn't create. The claim also relies on a false idea of collective guilt, that somehow an entire race can owe another entire race. That's not what the law is. That's not the policy. And that's also not how history works. Collective responsibility in this sense is completely meaningless. Society moves forward by addressing real inequities and historical harms, not by inventing impossible reverse debts. Facts, evidence, and measurable harm are what matter. And then we test that claim against those standards. When we do so, it just totally collapses. So the idea that Black Americans owe white Americans reparations isn't just unsupported, it's incoherent. There is no policy, no legal precedent. There is no rational basis for it. It fails every reasonable test of logic. It fails history, and it fails fairness. It just everything. It just fails. And I cede the rest of my time.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. That is going to conclude the closing statements. Great work from both debaters tonight. If you are enjoying what you are seeing out there, make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the debates we host here on Swords of Reasons. We run all kinds of matchups, political, cultural, social issues, philosophy, internet beefs. Literally anywhere there's a conversation worth clashing over, we'll put it in the arena. And also, don't forget to subscribe to tonight's debaters as well. Their links are in the description, so make sure you guys go show them support for stepping into the arena and sharpening their arguments tonight in front of us all. All right, and before I start the timer for the chat Q&A, I always like to ask a question or two for both sides based off things I heard, arguments I want to clarify, points I think were missed, things like this. And then once those questions are answered, we'll begin the official 30-minute Q&A. So for my first questions, I'm going to start with the affirmative side. So like if, for you, Marte, if removing DEI or similar policies like you mentioned is considered reparations, what would make that different from like any political policy change that a group dislikes? Like, where's the line between restitution and just ordinary governance?
So the line between this is like, we're not diving into Americans' pockets, or also not only this, but when I brought up like First Amendment, the example of him waking up and noticing $400 missing from his next paycheck, like this would actually eliminate this through savings and loss and recouping losses that we have. DEI, in effect, and the reason why I harp on this is because of I would say the absurd denial of him to attribute this to not being about race or anything like that when we demonstrated this. But back to this, I think that not only is this there's a delineation between this, because normally when people think DEI practices, they think we're just going to take this from the American taxpayer. All this does is penalize people that weren't included, people that weren't alive during slavery or anything like this. All I'm saying is that if we remove these race-based policies off the platform and off the board, now we have a savings that doesn't rob the American citizen of these funds who never experienced slavery, weren't alive, never owned slavery or anything like this. Matter of fact, the immigration populace that comes in, they would be taxed from this too. How else are you going to get this reparation happening? That's what I'm saying. My foundational basis for this argument is that nobody should get DEI, but since we're arguing that blacks should pay whites, yes, blacks cost the system more than white people. Whites have more innovation than anything else. Blacks don't build anything in society, and it's rare that they ever do, costing the city thousands of dollars. They leave their shitty countries to come here for more development, to be honest with you.
So just so I'm clear on your answer, try to make it a little like a shorter, dumbed down version for myself. It would be like basically the line between it is if the policy involves anything to do with race, that would be the line.
Yeah,
okay.
Race.
And did you have anything for that, Mender?
I mean, sorry. Can you ask the question one more time? I was reading something.
He wasn't even listening.
Yeah, no worries. I had asked him if removing DEI or any similar policies would be considered reparations. What makes that different just from any political policy change? Like, what is the line between restitution and ordinary governance?
I was very clear on what a reparation was. It is an affirmative compensation for harm. And this is typically like a societal. So usually it is through government that reparations are done. Government will take out money from one location or one group of people and give it to the said victims of said thing that was caused by the government. That's what a reparation is. DEI positively affects, it's just not any of that. DEI is not what a reparation, getting rid of DEI, the dismantling of policies that are intended to positively affect people is not, would not be a reparation by its very definition. So that's the delineative line.
All right. And then my second question for you, Marte, is so it's kind of what Amender was asking, and I kind of just want it to be like clarified so you get to just fully explain it, is like, what was the specific measurable economic harm that you believed white Americans have suffered that is like to justify the reparations?
When you think about this, the societal harm that we see is there's not like it would be like an abstract metric that we're looking at right now. The reason why it's hard to even delineate is because to even and I'll walk this back real quick a little bit in my favor, by the way. If we think about giving reparations to black people, what I brought up in the beginning of the argument is like, okay, cool.
Yeah, talk about giving reparations to black people.
Hold on. Can I
what this debate is about?
Let him answer. Let him answer. You can respond after.
I never interrupted you during this whole argument. How unprofessional of you to do this.
I don't care. You're a moron.
You're a walking SSRI.
You deserve to be interrupted because you are a moron.
All right. Just let him answer.
So when I talked about this, it's like incremental when we talk about this. So First Amendment kind of interrupted me. It kind of threw me off, to be honest. That's crazy. Ask the question again first.
No. Just it's basically the same question he was asking earlier, just so that you get to answer it with in full. Is what's the measurable economic harm that white Americans have suffered that justifies the reparations?
The reason why it's hard to delineate and why we need a clear distinction of like cutting programs is because in order to figure out like who deserves reparations and where they should go from, the oversight and cost would actually cripple our budget to some degree to where it's like just wasting spending. So that's what I'm saying. In order to do this, I'm skipping over the part of saying we don't even need to do that. Just cut these programs that are race-based in order just to cut through the bullshit to where we're not harming white people anymore, because DEI specifically harms white people. Let's be honest with you. When he says it doesn't, it does. That hopefully that answers the question directly.
All right. And did you want to respond to that now, Amanda?
So the reason why that he can't actually delineate an answer to that is because, and I'd hate to say it, there is none. I asked specifically if there's any scientific backing that DEI negatively impacts white people. And the only thing that could be found was an article that had no sources or attribution. The other dozen articles or so said no to that answer, to that question, where it is specifically studied. The problem is that the issue that you're pointing out doesn't exist. At least empirically, it doesn't exist. It's all in podcast world where they like to argue over these silly things that do not exist. And then they rage bait all sorts of people because it gets people to click and like things. And it's fucking idiotic. And you're hook, line, and sinker into so much idiocy that you're willing to actually play Uncle Ruckus for other black people. It's fucking wild.
Racist of you to even say that. That's just insane. You're calling me a coon.
Well, you are an Uncle Ruckus, dude.
You're calling
you are Uncle Ruckus.
Am I a coon? And
you wish you were white.
Oh, so that's so racist right now. You're calling me a coon? That's crazy.
I just feel like you would feel that way.
I'm just a coon, right? I play basketball. We play basketball. What do you want me to say? I eat fried chicken and watermelon. Actually, that's delicious, by the way. I'll even agree.
Everybody likes fried chicken and watermelon. I have no idea why that even sticks as a word. Also, I brought up basketball because you're pivoting. You're the king of pivoting.
Oh, how convenient.
That's why I brought up basketball. And yes, white people also play basketball. I don't know what but maybe you're trying to DEI your way into this.
No, so the loss of employment right now and opportunity decreases also affects white people. And also when we're talking about I would say the harming in media through white people as well too.
I once again point out that there is no empirical basis behind what you're saying. All you have is mafifis.
No,
your fifis don't care about your facts.
Use your
facts are there, and regardless of how you feel, the facts don't show that DEI has negatively impacted white people. You troglodyte. You freaking knuckle-dragging caveman moron. You're a moron. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm a black ape now because
take more Trent.
This is crazy.
Why don't you go take more Trent?
All right, let's get on to my next questions here.
All these racist tropes right now. This is crazy, bro.
All right. So my next questions here, and we'll go for the negative side. So for you, Amanda, so do you believe, just so everyone knows your position clearly, like, do you believe reparations are ever justified in principle? And like, if so, it's kind of two-part. If so, what would be the criteria that must be met? And then you could say like why this doesn't fit.
Were you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, are DEI, did you say are DEI policies ever justifiable? Was that the question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Sorry, my apologies.
Do you believe reparations are ever justified in principle? And like, if so, what's the criteria that must be met?
I've looked at the measurable impact specifically towards where Black Americans got negatively affected over the history of the United States. And honestly, the number is so astronomically huge that I have no idea how I would even approach such an insanely high number. I don't know what I could possibly like. I honestly have no meaningful policy for like what would actually match the harm that has been caused. And I would probably want to seek alternatives. I would probably want to see Black communities and how we could potentially help out Black communities and impoverished locations. I would want to see that the exacerbation of wealth that is exceedingly at the top in zip codes where they're overwhelmingly white and the overwhelmingly Black populations in zip codes that are very poor, they receive a lot less money than the rich affluent because of the property values being a lot lower. I would probably want to take some of the money from the rich affluent neighborhoods and place it into the poor. As to whether or not that refers to a reparation, I don't even think that's even a reparation, like by policy impact. Again, the idea of the reparation, I think it's a good idea. I just think that I don't know how to have some meaningful impact there, I guess. I understand that's a little wishy-washy, but genuinely heart of hearts, I would have to really spend some time thinking about it.
All right. All right. And then, Marte, did you have something to respond to that?
Yeah, he states that we should, he hints at taking money from these people who have incentivized themselves through hard merit programs and maybe earning potential as well too through hard work, and then giving it to low income communities. That's literally endorsing the programs that I want eliminated. When you do this, you're actually stringing the Black community and also handicapping them by not promoting hard work. When you're saying we're going to take from the rich and give to the poor, that really doesn't work in reality. All you're doing is handicapping people. I can point to speakeasies country in Canada where they did give reparations to Native Americans, and what did they do? Became more destitute, more drunk, more full of SSRIs, which I see in the panel right now, and more mental illness. That didn't even help them at all. But if you think about it, if we give programs to white people, they industrialize more. This is proven through history and metrics, through scientific innovation and everything else in programs. Matter of fact, we industrialize cities and I'm not saying we, but whites industrialize cities and countries as a whole. Why do you think that everybody wants to leave their countries after they trash it to come here, where white people run countries and protect people and incentivize people for hard work? That's why. What you're talking about is the reverse of that, supporting my argument, saying we're going to rob from the rich and get to the poor, from urban communities to poor communities. Right now, that's just undoing the programs and undoing American values, culture, and traditions that we have, thus destabilizing America so that we can turn into a third world country, which is crazy.
All right. All right. And then my second question for you, Amanda, is like if a policy like DEI did show that it was systematically like disadvantaging white people, would you reject the compensation in that case, or is it only specifically this one?
If we lived in an alternate universe where white people were statistically disadvantaged and it could be shown in an economic way, and Black people were far ahead of white people, then yeah, there would be a justification to that. We just don't live in that reality.
All right. All right. And did you have anything for that, Marte?
No, I don't have anything other than that. Like I am taking note of the racist bigotry. He called me a knuckle dragging basketball player, Uncle Ruckus. Like I'm like, if you tie all this together, you might as well say the N-word right now to me right now. Get it off your chest, why don't you, real quick, while we're at it, and get your feet on a bunch right now. Let's do it. I mean, don't
not do any N-words, but anyway.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean. He wants to get it off his chest. After you get off, say it all you want. I don't care. I'll give you a pass for that because you look emotionally triggered.
All right. So we'll get into the 30-minute Q&A now. Remember, chat, if you guys want to get yourself in for sure, make sure you send it through a super chat priority option. But if we have time, we're going to get to the Q&A in the chat as well. So let's start this timer up. First one that comes in is $2 from Hall Long Nate. Says slideshow and bring your proof. Thank you very much, Hall Long Nate. I appreciate that big time. Hall Long Nate with another $5 says stop nuzzling D Lemon's gelato and subscribe. Share this stream. F slurs. Thank you very much, Hall Long Nate. I appreciate that big time. Joseph. I know that Joseph has a question. This was blank, but this was for Joseph's question that he was gonna say after. Joseph, where are you there? What is or did you send it? Maybe you put it in the Q&A. Let me just check the Q&A quick. No, you didn't put it in the Q&A, Joseph. Oh, he said no, I'm good. All right, thank you very much for the support. Prince of Dogs with a big gifted 10 memberships. Thank you very much, you legend. Thank you. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. Hall Long Nate, new member. Thank you very much. Dog said just some support. God bless, brother. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you very much, Dogs. I can't thank you enough. This one, First Amendment. Every time there's like always a why are you gay? No matter who's on, somebody gets the why are you gay question. What? Yeah, boy for $5 says, when will First Amender respond to my lawyer's liabilities contract when it comes to our MMA match? Have you been training, First Amender? Are you in for an MMA match? I didn't know.
He still hasn't given me a time, date, anything. I haven't received anything. It's just being a moron.
Oh, okay.
Crazy.
Damn, maybe a future MMA match in the presence, guys. Everyone got to tune in for that. First Amender, why push the red herring of policy when the topic simply doesn't mention policy?
True.
Reparations is a policy, you troglodyte.
All right. Then we got Gravios for a big $50. Thank you very much. Says, what kind of upside down are we in here? Where the black guy is against reparations, but the white guy is all for it. Also, I agree with the black dude. Also, those shades don't work, First Amender. You can't hide from Andrew and Jim Bob. No response for that one. $5 comes in from Hall Long Nate. That basketball pivot diagram isn't even soft racism, First Amender. How do you defend your open bigotry?
You're the one coming in with the fucking racist bullshit. I don't know what to tell you. We're platforming open racism.
What?
And just because I pulled up basketball and pivoting, that wasn't an insinuation that he was black. The Uncle Ruckus, though, was.
Oh, so it is because I'm a knuckle dragging Uncle Ruckus basketball playing person. Yeah, you're gonna
shut up, idiot.
I like watermelon too. This is crazy.
You obviously needed DEI to get yourself into college. That's for sure.
Oh, so
all right.
Crazy.
Stink. This is a crazy name. Holy. This Stink Dig PC Gaming. All right. That's a crazy name. What are First Amender's thoughts on buck breaking?
It's fucking.
Damn, this is crazy.
I remember seeing the documentary. I thought it was wild. That's all I have to say.
You would
all right.
Documentary for sure. I'm glad you didn't bring your buck breaking book and not your uterus book.
Yeah. You asked for specific animal studies. I gave you an animal study, and you get freaked out that I bring up an animal study on it. Like, I don't know why you're harping on, like, hey, give me the evidence for that.
It's funny.
I give you the evidence, and then you're like, what is this rat uterus book?
It's like, funny how you uterus.
It's like asking for evidence about, like, it's like asking for evidence about, like, nuclear reactors, and then I show you a fission. You're like, why are you giving me a physics book? You're just an idiot.
Hold on.
You're an idiot. You obviously need DEI because there ain't no fucking way you're getting into a college entrance exam. You're a fucking moron.
Let me respond to this real quick because when I asked him about animals, he just happened to have a rat uterus book on hand. Like, who has that on hand at the disposal? Like, you just happen to have this. Like, you were an expert.
It's called Brain Gender by Melissa Hines. It talks about
rat uterus
the neurobiology as well as endocrinological basis, as well as it goes a little bit into the embryology of what causes gender, and that's one of the things that it talks about.
I've never heard rat uterus cope before, but this is crazy.
What a fucking idiot! God damn, he's stupid. Can we go to the next question? This guy's
all right. We got 10 pounds
to babysit this moron.
10 pounds from Shazzy Bear, the lovely mama bear of the chat. I'm so fucking confused. I'll stay in Northern Ireland. I'm safe here. LOL. Good morning, Easy, Alicia, and chat. Thank you very much, Shazzy. You're absolutely amazing. Birds aren't even real for $10. What do you guys plan on researching more after the debate? And did you change your mind on any part of your original position? That's always a good question. I like that
one. I mean, maybe a bit more on DEI stuff, on how it could even be perceived as racism, I guess. And then the other thing that I did not change my mind on any part of the original position. He had provided no evidence for me to say that the contrary exists. If you want to see me change my mind on a dime, and I'm telling you on a dime, show me scientific consensus of something. And if I am saying the opposite of what the scientific consensus is, I will change my opinion right then and there. You'll watch me do it. And I've done it in previous debates. You just have to show me the facts, not your feelings, not what is said in a podcast, not what's popular versus unpopular. Very real empirical data proving the fact.
I can respond to that. So the two things I'll bring up right now. So when I do cite my sources and cite DEI, he denies the fact, the abject reality that this is weaponized against white people. Matter of fact, this has allowed liberal white women, to his credit.
Your research doesn't argue that, you moron.
Yes, it does. We can actually do another debate later on about this, but
horrible reading comprehension on top of the fact that you wouldn't even pass a college entrance exam. You need DEI, my dude.
I graduated college already.
Did you?
Degree, yes.
What business degree did you get?
In dietetics. It's not a business degree. I graduated in dietetics. I'm a licensed nutritionist. So anyways, back to this.
Dietetics? That's a college degree, guys.
Yeah, a licensed nutritionist. Yeah. But anyways, back to this. When we talk about this, and I bring up these cases. So here, just to answer the chatter's question here.
I bet you got some pills to sell.
Hold on. Anyways, back to this. To answer the chatter's question without interruption from the DEI guy on Soy Book Economics. Here's the thing, though, I want to actually harp on right now. My argument isn't to change First Amenders' mind. My argument is actually to change hearts and minds at home so that we can see the open reality of what's used socially and weaponized against us. When he harps on books and I bring up peer-reviewed research from DI programs from and this is the thing that I brought up too. This is on Pew Research. He denies that and says, I only must approve of research that I approve of. And this is First Amenders logic. When I bring this up, he says, nope, I don't like it. DI, nope, I don't like this. There's not a standard that he'll take. But here's the thing, though. I'm appealing to the audience, which is going to vote in a poll after this. And that's really who I really want to affect and influence through conversation and means and logic. That's it.
Yeah, if you just have enough people like you, then all of a sudden that makes you right. Like the bunch of flat earthers in a bunch of flat earth Discord where they sit there and argue against a bunch of people that say that the earth is round. Certainly you can't be wrong.
You have to have a convincing argument to sway people.
Stop wasting my it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The facts don't agree with you. You're just wrong.
Sure.
All right.
To yourself, the audience, because one, we're going to see a poll.
Popularity doesn't mean you're right, you idiot. That's called an ad populum fallacy. You're just being an idiot.
Wait, hold on.
Jesus Christ. Can we move to the next question? I'm tired of talking to the moron. I'm tired of trying to spoon feed this fucking unironic child. I'm done.
I never brought up right or wrong.
Question.
I brought up a poll because I'm trying to.
Please, can we get to the next question and stop? I don't want to listen to this idiot.
All right, just let him finish it. We'll get to.
I never once brought up right or wrong, so that
muted yourself.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so I'm not appealing to.
Yep, there you are.
I'm not appealing to ad populum. What I'm citing is that, because I never mentioned right or wrong, I'm citing that the whole benefit and the whole purpose of debate is actually to sway and convince people of your worldview and belief when we can have a conversation. That's the whole point of this. All I'm saying is that
debates don't do that.
Debates do this. What is a poll?
Empirically, debates do not do that.
What do polls do? They show the
empirically. Debates do not change minds. People come in with a preconceived worldview, and then they listen to a debate, and then they agree with the people that argue their position.
Okay,
that's by your and then they just get self-affirmed in that. That's what happens in debate. That's not actually what a real formal debate does.
If you have
the goal that I have for debate is to try to learn from what the other person has to bring to the table, but you didn't bring anything to the table. All that you brought was just rhetoric with zero actual argument, no policy, no substance, no answers. I asked question after question after question. All I gave you was 3 questions out of the 4, and you couldn't answer a single one. You didn't know an answer to any of these questions. You've done precisely 0 research. Your research is podcasts. My research is actual scientific studies with real empirical scientific backing, not some fucking podcast.
So hold on.
Fucking idiot.
I'm going to talk to the audience just for 1 second without interruption.
Oh my God. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the audience thinks.
Take easy. Give me 30 seconds.
I don't care what the audience thinks.
Yeah, let him get it off and we'll get to the next question.
Let me get 30 seconds real quick. So when you say that debates don't affect anybody, but there's a poll in the end, and then not to mention this, you're negating the fact that we can have people who are lukewarm fence sitters at home that may be undecided. What is the undecided vote? When you think about this in America, it does matter because that pushes the vote from one side to the next.
Can we get the next question, please?
I'm almost done.
Just let him finish it up. Just let him finish it up, Amanda.
Almost done.
I want to get off of Mr. Bones' wild ride.
Real quick, hold on. When presidents are running for candidacy, their decisions affect the nation. When we're talking about swaying the vote, these debates matter. I can talk about a debate in the home when you're trying to argue to buy a new car because it's not financially responsible or not. Debates happen all the time. Debates shift social circles all the time. To say debates don't matter is really an asinine statement to make because we can see this all around. In order to influence people, you have to have a good argument and present your case and convince people. That's what matters. We're convincing ourselves even. We have internal monologues all the time and even internal debates. That's stupid to even say.
All right. Next one comes in from How Long Nate says, First Amender, you mean you encouraged all 8 of your chat to drink when you say to?
So I'm a small YouTuber, therefore I'm wrong. Yeah, again, just stupidity, more stupidity.
Fair. $20 comes in from Gravios. I hate him. He's so disrespectful and disingenuous. First Amender, dude, the whole internet needs to trash him and shame him. Dude has no idea how to handle conversations or debates.
I can handle a conversation or a debate, no problem, provided that you come in good faith. This guy had 0 attempt or effort to be in good faith. The fact that he had answered not a single of my 3 of 4 questions, I didn't even get a chance because he would not answer a single question. All he did was give platitudes. I need you to realize that's what he did. That's all he did. He didn't provide anything of substance. I can provide substance because the evidence actually shows in my favor here. You just have to look it up. Stop listening to these moronic podcasts that don't know anything about the world. They're just talking out of their ass for clicks. Now what you do is pull up actual scientific basis behind something and actually fucking learn something. Read a fucking book. Not a podcast, not a fucking magazine, but a book. Read a book. Fucking move on. Fuck me, dude.
Okay.
Actual valid crash out.
My turn to respond. He accuses me of not having anything in platitudes, yet he offers just the same, if not more. And that's me actually being benevolent and generous by saying this. He hasn't even offered a metric yet, asked me for the metric of damages. When actually I give a viable solution in saying that we should eliminate these race-based programs off the map, he doesn't offer a solution, yet I do. That's it.
All right. Shazzy Bear says, for £5, Now I know who first reminds me of Timmy out of Willy Wonka, the shrinking one. I'm trying to remember.
Crazy.
I don't remember Timmy. I can't remember. Is that the old? Wait, the shrinking one? That's the old one. Gravios for $10 says Speakeasy ask for Samender if he or to act tough like this to Marte's face. He won't. He's a Chihuahua, all bark and no bite. I've been bit by a few Chihuahuas. I think they're assholes. Just saying, Chihuahuas bite.
They are.
But you still can't hide from Andrew for Samender. You can only run for so long.
So if I meet Marte and he would physically assault me? Like I don't think he would. He doesn't seem to indicate that. He never said anything of the fact. I would have no reason to fear him in a conversational dialogue if I happen to find him. Like I don't see that again, like it's just complete nonsense. I mean, you're just looking, I mean, this is once again where the right literally wants violence upon the left and then claim that it is the left that wants to do violence on the right, even though once again, empirically speaking, the right overwhelmingly causes violence on the left. And this comment perfectly exemplifies it. Oh, incoming the finger with the Charlie Kirk. Go ahead.
So I do want to respond to this, and let me clarify what the speaker's saying. Let me know if I'm wrong, Gravios24. Now, the left all of a sudden becomes keyboard warriors, but also won't fight and also oppose ICE, but will tell you to do this like Wick last night. Will all of a sudden do this. What the chatter's implying, though, is that they will go ahead from their white ivory towers, say you should fight, but never develop any fortitude to actually combat the system by offering real solutions, as you have not in this debate, and I have. Yeah.
The reason why I haven't come up with any solution is because I'm operating in the negative. You're the one arguing for positive reparations, but you couldn't define any actual reparation that you would want specifically for black people to pay to white people.
I did.
I don't have to make an argument. I'm operating in the negative. That's why I didn't make an argument.
I offered a positive.
I didn't need to make, yes. And you had no answers to the most basic policy term questions that you would have for reparations. All you said was end DEI, which is not a reparation.
That's a form of
idiot.
That's a form of reparations. Yes.
Oh my God. Move on, please. This fucking idiot.
All right. The next question comes in from Cap'n Planet for $5. Says, what measurable economic damage did slavery cause blacks? Show me.
What measurable economic damage did slavery cause? There's trillions of dollars of economic damage.
Let's get a number. Don't just assert this with no proof or anything like that.
All right, let's pull up consensus.app and I'll ask that question. What measurable economic damage did slavery cause black people?
See how he can't do the same thing that he asked me of?
What you're asking, and so I'm able to pull up. I'll just pull it up. What is the consensus on this? What is an actual measurable amount? And then we'll pull up the papers. This is the difference between you and me. I can back this stuff up, whereas you don't actually back anything up. You just have your fifis that you found from some fucking podcast, and you didn't read a single fucking book. I guarantee you that you wouldn't even be able to name the last book you've read. You probably don't read at all. You don't know anything. Yep. All right. So economic harms of slavery to black Americans, what researchers can quantify. Slavery and its aftermath has produced trillions of dollars of lost wealth in persistent income, education, and health disadvantages for black Americans that remain measurable today. There was wage theft under slavery, 12 to 13 trillion, land or price-based, and 18.6 trillion to 6.2 quadrillion, wage-based 3 to 6% interest in cumulative losses to descendants of the enslaved, value of lost freedom, 16 to 35 quadrillion, 3 to 6% interest via an analogy to Japanese-American internment reparations, unpaid wages to people enslaved and alive in an emancipation, $7 billion in 1860, $200 billion today, which is not compounded. Current black-white per capita wealth gap, anywhere between $352,000 to $400,000 per person, about $795,000 per household. Anyway, there are various numbers here. I mean, they're here. You can look it up. I mean, it's there.
Back chat real quick. I'd love to see this.
Mm-hmm. why is this not shared on the screen?
Oh shit, you can't.
Oh, do you have something? Oh, sorry. I didn't notice you shared something else there. Let me just remove that. Make this big.
Yeah. So right here, wage theft under slavery. Here's your numbers. Value of lost freedom, 1635. This is again using just consensus.app, and you could see the various citations, wealth implications of slavery and racial discrimination for African Americans. There's 54 citations. It's a 2020 paper. 2022 paper, the cumulative cost of racism bill for Black reparations. I mean, we can pull up details and see exactly what it says in each one of these. But yes, there's quantifiable amounts that slavery is. I don't know why this is even a question. I'll be honest with you. Anyway, go ahead.
So that's not quantifiable when we look at this. So that would be, I would say, an assumption.
That's literally what quantifiable. It's a quantity that has been quantified. You fucking idiot, dude. We need to DEI this guy back into college.
You need to be able to quantify this. We need to trace to the origin of where you got this accumulation of data. Right now, these are just assertions of the thing. And not to mention
that it's listed in the source, you fucking idiot.
Historical association.
It would be listed in the paper, you idiot.
Do you know what biases are when it comes to data and research? When you look at this, what's the name of this?
All the scientists disagree with me because they're biased. It's not because I'm wrong or the fact that I haven't done any reading on this topic whatsoever. No, all scientists wrong, but me right. Me very right. Me watch Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh right because he say black people bad. You're a fucking idiot, dude.
If I wanted accumulation of polls from gamblers, why would I take a poll from gamblers? The citation comes from a Black society or even a Black organization. Of course, that's extremely biased. That's why I asked for the sources. When you show me accumulation of data and it shows a Black organization, that's extremely biased. That's crazy.
All right. Next one, we got $2 from Prince of Dogs, just showing some support. Thank you, Prince of Dogs. We got $5 comes in from Big League Drew. Says, Marte, will you pay Amender $20 right now and practice what you preach?
Yeah, but this hasn't. My program actually comes out of taxpayers' pockets through no longer attributing a loss by eliminating race-based programs. So that way, that solves the problem of having to take it from American citizens or taxpayers, but putting it in their pockets. That's actually practicing what I preach by eliminating these programs that are also just catering to race-based politics. That's how we come up with the dollars.
All right. Then we got T. Gillies Pie says, where's my boots for Mender? Bullshit is getting too deep. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Then we got Greg Dorgan for $10. Says, First Amendment, tell me how hiring with race consideration is not racist.
How hiring with race consideration is not racist. So quotas have never been implemented. That's something that was actually, they were implemented several decades ago. They were banned. Specifically for the exact thing that you're talking about. And if you actually look at the outcomes of hiring policies, it is still overwhelming that that whites are benefiting in terms of job placement in comparison to minorities. So once again, I understand that everybody's upsetty spaghetti about it, but there really just is no empirical basis behind it. That's the issue.
Use your two eyeballs and look socially around you. We can do that, right? That's possible. First Amender.
Hey, look at your two eyeballs. You can see the earth is flat. See, now the earth is flat. Fucking idiot.
Who wears glasses inside, by the way? So anyways, back to this.
Next question we got here is from Trench Deacon, $10. It's or a statement. First Amender be like, no, not that source. Gives me a peer review source from my pink-haired commie Coomer University. Get on your knees while I appeal to the secular humanist authority.
That's crazy.
Thank you, Trench, for the $10 super chat.
That's a really weird thing to say. And also, if all of academics is disagreeing with you, either all of academia is wrong or you're wrong.
Wait, hold on. Let me address this.
All right.
Liberal academia that's become more feminized and liberated from.
Yeah, it turns out when you like research and do facts and actually do fact finding, you end up becoming more liberal. It's true.
You mean the fact that we've had
it's true. You tend to become more on the left when you become more educated. That's very true. I agree. Usually people who are very uneducated and know literally dip diddly squat come up with idiotic things like this, and then they basically parrot it because all they know is some idiot podcast and they don't do any reading, and they become a dietitian. Go ahead.
Hold on. So gender studies didn't come from conservative mindset. This came from liberal ideology. And all these bunk programs are in liberal universities. All of that is just asinine think that doesn't get real jobs and garnered interest post-university. So that's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. I'm
sure.
Yeah, it doesn't.
All right. Next one that comes in, $5 from Big League Drew, says he always crashes out. Thank you very much, Big League Drew. And then another 5 comes in right after that from Big League as well. Says, are blacks as a whole doing better or worse since the 1964 Civil Rights Act?
Worse.
They're actually doing better by virtually every metric. I've looked this up. I understood that people had that feeling that people are doing worse because they had this idea that since they were separated, they were able to create their own communities and it was better off. But by virtually every metric, from just personal rights to being able to access property, to being able to be in better conditions, to having specific worker rights, whereas they would normally have been discriminated from jobs, from locations, just by virtually every empirical metric, blacks are better off now than they ever were. But prior to the Civil Rights Act, it's total nonsense, just completely made up by podcasters having no basis in empirical reality.
I'll even address this right now. So the goal of the civil rights movement was to present equitable change. Now, blacks before civil rights had more marriages, more intact traditional families, and actually more business owners existed before that. Ever since that's happened, we've been giving more handouts to blacks, which has crippled them.
Also untrue.
Incentives. Nope, that's not true. This is demonstrably proven through a quick Google research.
It's not.
More blacks were married. And
I did research this. You're wrong.
Just let Marte finish his answer.
You're wrong. So traditionally, we had more black families that stayed together before that happened. Post the civil rights movement, we've actually had a disintegration of the traditional family. Right now, black families are less together than ever. That's actually demonstrably true. We can look it up through a Google search and see that right now. Use your own 2 eyes as well, too, because that'll help. Shades don't always help.
All right. Let's look it up. We'll do it right now. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Just give me one quick second.
Yeah, I can share my screen too. I also have evidentiary claims about this too. Significant declines in 1960. 61% of black adults were married before then, dropped by 32%. The decline is actually increasing by sharper than experienced by more other racial groups as well too. Post-civil rights. I'm really reading this off right now through peer-reviewed research.
I'm getting mixed data here.
It's mixed because, my studies aren't working for you when actually I can show you positive data in the affirmative on my.
I'm sharing my screen. We can take a look at it real quick. Black business ownership has grown since the 1960s, but relative context has changed. Did Black Americans own more businesses before the Civil Rights Act of 1964 than after? What the research shows. There's a long-run trend from the 1980s to present. Quantitative data from 1982 to 2012 show that the share of black labor market participants who own businesses rose from about 4% to 16%, while non-black shares rose from 14 to 19%, implying substantial growth in black entrepreneurship and declining barriers over time. More recent work finds black-owned businesses expanded faster. Overall businesses counts from 1990 to 2010. These studies indicate more black business ownership now than in the late 20th century, not less.
All right. I'll show my data right now.
Before the Civil Rights Act, segregation forced many black-owned firms to serve black consumers who were excluded from white businesses, creating a visible black business districts, but mostly in low-capital personal service sectors. After 1964, desegregation opened the mainstream opportunities, but also exposed black firms to more competition, reshaping sectors and sometimes shrinking traditional black business districts. Conclusion: available quantitative evidence shows that black business ownership has increased substantially substantially since the 1960s in absolute labor force terms. Even in a classical segregated black businesses, districts declined. So black people did not generally own more businesses overall before the Civil Rights Act. The main change is where it is where and in which sectors those businesses operate and under what competitive conditions. There you go.
Speakeasy. I actually have data I'll show too. I also shared a screen as well too, if we can get into that. So
yep, I got it up here.
If you look at this decline in marriage, the marriage.
Wait, what did you wait? No. What did you Google? Why is it? Why did you hide it? Why did you hide what you Googled?
I didn't hide it. Let me go look this up. So decline in marriage, the marriage rate for black Americans.
Why is it empty?
Hold on.
Why is your query empty?
Can you
what are you trying to hide?
I didn't hide anything. Has been a steep decline, falling from 61% in 1960 to 32% in 2008. Economic factors and welfare policy. The decline has been linked to shifts in economy, high unemployment rates for black men. And also this is de-incentivized marriage, low-income families. Also structural barriers. Researchers argue rather than the civil rights movement itself, it is the ongoing economic disparity.
What did you type?
Failures. Shut the fuck up. I'm not done yet. Such as the law.
I want to know what you typed to get this AI result.
I did not interrupt you the whole time. We can get back to that later.
I just want to know what you typed.
Can you shut up?
What did you type?
Well, let him finish and then
douchebag.
Ask him it after.
This guy's crazy.
What a douchebag.
The whole time. And we can actually scroll down here too. Impact on business owners, systemic barriers to capital, continue to face significant long-term barriers. Low approval rates in 2021, only 13% of black-owned businesses were like to receive funding. This was actually after post-civil rights as well, too. Impact of segregation redlining. So when we think about this, all of this, the context, legacy of racism, economic progress, and all this.
Oh, man, don't read that stuff.
Yes.
You don't want to read that. That's all liberal stuff.
All in my favor.
What a douchebag. What an idiot. So what did you type? Why did you clear out what you typed in the search?
I didn't clear it out. I actually pressed.
Yeah, you did. Because when you press enter, it still shows the query.
Okay, so
what did you type?
Is it wrong?
What did you type? I'm asking what you typed. I didn't say it was wrong. I'm asking what did you type?
I typed in what were the negative effects post-civil rights to black communities and businesses. That's what I typed in.
Okay, great. I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Right.
However, what you argued is, did black people own more businesses prior to the Civil Rights Act? The answer is empirically, no, that's not the case. More black people own businesses now than they did prior to the Civil Rights Act.
Hold on.
That's true.
Oh
my fucking God.
I can actually answer this. That's because the black populace has grown. That's why. That's the only attributable measure that we can look at. There were less black.
Can we move on? This guy's an idiot.
That's why.
He thinks people that have studied their entire life on statistics would have no fucking idea how to deal with population growth, or that wouldn't be accounted. What a fucking idiot, dude. What he thinks he knows more than scientists who have spent decades of research on this. This guy couldn't do a fucking standard deviation. He doesn't even know what a standard deviation is. Hell, I don't even think he knows what the fucking sum symbol is. This guy's a fucking moron that knows literally zero. And he needs DEI so he can go back to fucking college and stop being a fucking moron on the internet. Go ahead, moving on.
Okay,
next question.
Real quick. So
moving on. Next question.
Real quick. Were there
next question? I ain't got all fucking night. I have a hard cutoff at 11.
Let him just finish. We only got a few more to go. Let him just finish. We'll get to the next one.
I just want to ask a question. Were there more blacks now, or were there more blacks back then before civil rights that existed in America?
By population, there's more black people now than there was back then.
So there would be more businesses. This is a tribute to a booming population.
Do you think that that's something that is not accounted for in fucking regular studies? No. You moron.
Not in liberal studies.
It's called a fucking percentage, idiot. It's a percentage. You're an actual fucking troglodyte. Fuck me. He actually has zero idea what he's talking about. I fucking hate these people. They're so dumb. You are so dumb. I can't handle how dumb you are. No wonder you're a fucking nutritionist. You're a moron.
Let him finish his point so we can move on.
When I bring the booming population, there would be an incremental amount of businesses accumulated. This doesn't make your argument when we say this. This is an economic stasis that I can bring up to you, showing numbers. And this is just, I dumbed this down really simple for you so you can understand how this skews research. This is insane.
All right. Next one we got here. John Mondragon for $5 says, I got to be honest, little guy brought the heat tonight. You've come a long way, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the $5. And sorry, would you say there, Hermender? I talked over you. My bad.
I appreciate it. And just out of curiosity, right? Because you're just so educated on this. What is a sum symbol? Can you explain what is a sum symbol?
Say it again. What is
a sum symbol? You know, typically used for standard deviations. This is actually used in just about any rudimentary high school level of math.
Are you talking about
what is a sum symbol?
The thing that looks like the letter E used to add things up?
Okay, what is that symbol? What's the name?
Starts with the first number. It means sum. That's what they talk about this. Starts with the first number.
Sigma. It's called a sigma. Jesus fuck.
Yeah,
dude.
good for you.
Go ahead. Moving on. Another moron. No, it just means you don't know anything.
No,
you don't even know basic. You don't even know basic arithmetic. You're not going to be able to interact with any, and you're sitting there saying, "Oh, I know more than these dumb scientists who come here and they come here with stats." But did you consider population? And then the scientist is sitting there, whoa, no one, dude, I never thought of that. Fuck. Holy shit, I gotta undo all of this. I didn't think about population at all. I had no fucking idea. Holy shit, you are so smart. Where did you get your degree? You're a fucking moron, dude.
Speakeasy, if you notice, the guy talks about basketball. I'm Uncle Ruckus, I'm a knuckle dragger. Now he says these people. I mean, this just adds up right now. The guy's a bigot. Let's go, bro.
We got $5 from Avarice. Says, did I miss the PowerPoint? No, Avarice. Both of them didn't bring a PowerPoint for us this morning. Tonight. No, normally both of these debaters will have some type of presentation for us.
Yes, you do, yeah.
And not one of them did today. All right, so you didn't miss that.
Didn't have any real metrics on it. That's why.
Scott for $5 says, can First Amender argue without righteous indignation or tone policing?
Regardless of whether or not that I am incapable of righteous indignation or tone policing, I'm not wrong. You actually can't prove me wrong because I've actually done my homework. I actually know what I am talking about. And this moron has nothing but podcasts. He doesn't actually do any reading. He doesn't actually understand any of these studies. He doesn't read any studies. He just looks at Twitter or whatever fucking nonsense and becomes a goddamn quote unquote health professional. Fucking idiot. He's a moron.
All right. And next one comes in from Greg Dorgan for $10. Says, First Amender, you contradicted yourself saying hiring is no longer quota based. What do you think DEI is? Just no numbers to meet, but race considered?
Quotas? I'm going to repeat it one more time because you could just look this up. Quotas have never been, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. They have been, but it has been decades since it has been banned. What the fuck do you think DEI does? Just no numbers to meet, but race considered. You more, yeah, once again, decades old. It's just not a thing, and nor would I even argue in favor of it. I would look at targeted things that would positively affect people that would normally get negatively affect under specific conditions. And you know what? It's funny because I know that Marte is laughing, but he actually argued in favor of a DEI policy. He argued in favor of parental leave, which I agree. That is a bipartisan approval. But that is also a form of DEI. You can look that up. Is that a form of DEI? The answer is yes. There's forms of DEI that positively affect people, including white people, where they are negatively disenfranchised. A Pell Grant would be an example of diversity, equity, and inclusion because people who are poor can't go to college necessarily, but they can go to college if there is a grant that allows them to go to college. That is an example of DEI that would positively affect white people.
So, okay, I'll respond to this. I will argue for maybe things like, handicapped people, pregnant women, things like this. None of that, notice, involves race at all. My whole argument was the claim that we should eliminate all these race-based programs and policies that we have in effect that are jeopardizing our communities and siphoning tax dollars, unnecessarily causing much more harm to society than anything else. Now, granted, I do agree that maybe there can be a little bit of quota for women to some degree, and handicapped people like the ADA, that's good. I can argue for that, but notice how you're arguing for race-based DEI and I'm not. Inevitably, that's what you're doing, which is crazy and lunacy.
You're the one arguing for a reverse race-based DEI. It says there that you're in favor of black people paying reparations to white people. That would be a form of a reverse DEI.
And then what
the fuck are you talking about?
How did I arrive?
I'm the one coming here with the negative where I say, I don't have a position on this. I don't agree that black people should have to give. My policy position is none of those fucking things. Your policy position is a positive one. Fuck me, dude. I gotta spell this shit out to you. You're a fucking moron. Dude.
I arrived at this conclusion through a
oh my god. Can we just move on?
Not taking money from taxpayer citizens. This is a different form of reparations. You did say it's not reparations. It's just a different form of reparations, which is not siphoning the system through loss of dollars by robbing people who were never involved in slavery, any of that bullshit. That's crazy. I offer a solution and still you don't.
All right. Vigilante for $5 says, Marte, were Jim Crow's Jim Crow laws a good thing? Did getting rid of Jim Crow negatively impact both white and black people?
I think there's a mixed consensus on this, to be honest. Hold on, I can actually.
The black guy is saying it's mixed. We don't know if Jim Crow laws were good or bad. That's great. I love it. Clipping that.
If you think about
God, holy shit. The black guy is like, man, it's mixed. We can't figure it out. No, it doesn't. What?
There's nuance.
Listen, there's nuance to Jim Crow laws, guys. Guys, we should hear out the Jim Crow laws. I want to be discriminated on. Discriminate on me, daddy. Please step on me, daddy. You have a fucking fetish for a fucking boot on your back, bro.
Okay.
What a fucking idiot, dude. What a fucking
let Marte answer.
What a moron. Holy shit. This is a fucking deer arguing for there to be more cars, bro.
Hold up a minute. Hold on. Let him answer.
I'm not justifying this. I'm saying this is what happens when every race has been enslaved. If you look at Europe, Christians were enslaved, and that's what happens. This is what happens to conquered people all the time. And matter of fact, historically, races get conquered all the time. This is what happens. I'm not justifying that this happens. Everybody some people were incentivized during Jim Crow. That's why it's mixed and nuanced. Some people it negatively impacted, and then some people it didn't negatively impact. When we talk about this, we need to create a distinction between the two. There were blacks who weren't penalized from Jim Crow who didn't even live in the States. This did exist. So the two things can be true. It depends on who you ask at the time.
All right. Next, we only got a few more here. Next one, World Radio, $5 says, why is First Amender dressed like Keith Gill, Roaring Kitty from GME?
I like the look. I think it looks cool. I've been growing my hair out. It's been going over my head, so I put a headband on, and I'm like, hey, let's get some glasses. It'll look kind of cool.
That's what's up. $2 from Bandit says, what does first A mean, or 1A, mean? I hate these people.
Right-wing chuds. Not being right-wing necessarily. I can discuss and have discussions with right-wingers. I don't have an issue with right-wingers. But there is an essence of just internet-bound, basement-dwelling, just stuck on the internet constantly and just getting inflamed over things that do not exist, specifically because there's just a lot of social media that gets a lot of clicks. And now it has become so prevalent that we now have here a black person saying Jim Crow laws is nuanced. So that's the type of person I hate. I hate people that are immune to facts, if you will. They refuse to acknowledge realities of situations.
I'll ask you a question.
And this is your right-wing chuddery.
First Amendment, is slavery a nuanced discussion?
No.
Oh, this is bullshit. All right. You're disingenuous and bad faith. Let's move on. That's crazy. Prisoners are a form of slavery that exists today. Yet, if we release all these,
I don't argue. I don't like.
Stupid.
I don't want prisoners to be used as forced labor. I agree with you. That should be abolished because I believe that is slavery.
We shouldn't take killers and put them away.
I don't believe. No,
I
did not say that. I did not say you can't incarcerate people. I'm saying that they can't. You cannot force them for work for profit.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Do you lose?
I know we can. I know we can right now. I'm saying I'm providing you my moral position, which is I don't believe we should.
What's morally wrong about having a PDF file pick up trash on the side of the road and give back to the community? Can you tell me what?
I don't think that there should be a profit incentive towards prisons in general. I think what it does is it incentivizes reasons to get more people imprisoned. And because that there's a profit incentive behind it, more people get thrown into prison as a result. I understand it seems appropriate to apply a retributive justice on somebody that has done a wrong thing. I just think it leads to far worse outcomes than any benefit that is gained via the retribution.
Housing, feeding, and resources cost taxpayers thousands of dollars, $39,000 to house an inmate. Where's the financial incentive exactly coming from when they pick up on the side of the road? Are they not to give back to the community?
The private prison system.
Oh, the small
community service is not forced. Community service is not profit via forced labor. It's free labor. There would be no money that is exchanged between whoever is receiving the service to who's providing the service, the prison. That's the difference.
Majority state prisons or private prisons?
I'm not against. I'm FYI. I'm not against community service. I understand that there is a necessity to community service.
You just
you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're once again a complete fucking idiot.
You don't want PDF files to get back to the communities, the people that are going to be released. They should at least get back because they violated minors.
That's an idiot. Move on.
Even say that.
Can't handle this fucking moron.
That's crazy.
All right. Next one, last two here. First one of the last two. Bandit says, "How does helping whites? How does helping whites improve DEI?"
How does helping whites improve DEI? We already help whites through DEI.
How?
There's the Pell Grant. That's one. Parental leave. That's another one. Non-discrimination based off of skin color. That's another one.
That's discriminating. Period. DEI is
non-discrimination based on skin color is discrimination, and it is not discrimination to discriminate based on skin color. Do you not listen to yourself talk? You're a fucking idiot, dude. Holy shit, dude.
DEI is discriminative towards.
Dude, how much lead is in the walls? How much lead did you eat as a kid?
Notice how he's not contending with the argument right now, Chad.
Yes, because you literally contradicted yourself in a single sentence.
I didn't.
You didn't say anything even remotely logical. What am I supposed to? I'm sitting. You're sitting there saying the rain isn't wet. I was dry out in the rain. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What?
Yeah, let's read this.
All right. We got the last question over here. Marte and First Amendment, you're both men, humans with superior male intellect. Today's society's earners as a whole, which group is a bigger contributor financially and shows return on investment?
White men. Tell me how I'm wrong.
I mean, I think that question is ignoring.
Shit. White men. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Yeah, so that question is ignoring the socioeconomic issues of the past and why it exists right now. That's true. That's the case.
No.
That's why they earn less. I agree with you. White men earn more. Great. Why?
No,
I'm telling you why. But you could just ignore the why and then go ahead and just say that there is no oppression whatsoever and none of these bad things happened in the past. And we could just ignore all of it and we could just whatever, who cares? Like, I don't know. It's a fucking idiot and idiot responses with zero solutions. Just total fucking idiot. Yeah, well, because you're a fucking idiot. Any logical argument I make is going to go right over your head.
Logically,
it doesn't matter.
Logically,
it's just a fucking idiot.
Logically,
let's move on.
Superior nations. Who's creating
fucking
aerospace
Uncle Ruckus ass fucking moron?
And not to mention this, but systemically help infrastructure as well. It's been the white man. To be honest, why are other nations fleeing to come to our nations? It's because of the white man.
Yeah,
it's true. And
all right,
very good for being racist on you by calling me Uncle Ruckus, the black trope.
Oh, real quick, last one that came in there, just real quick, said you said right wing Chad's wrong.
Yeah, good one.
So that right there is going to wrap up the Q&A for tonight. Thank you to everyone in the live chat for all the questions, the engagement, the support. It's seriously what allows me to keep bringing you these debates and conversations, and the entire Swords of Reason experience week after week is because of you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. And of course, a huge thank you to our debaters for stepping into the arena tonight. Again, a huge reason we're able to bring these Swords of Reason experiences weekly for you guys is because of the debaters. So make sure you guys go and check them out. Go subscribe, send them money, all of that. And so real quick, before I move on, are either of you planning to hang out for the open panel tonight?
No, I got to go to bed.
Oh, you're always going to run. You never stick around. I noticed that.
I don't stick around for the fuck, because last time that it happened, all I did was get dogpiled by 20 fucking asshole idiots. Why the fuck would I waste my time with that? Why would I fucking do that?
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's why, it's always an optional thing for everyone. So what we're going to do. So what we're going to do next is we're going to roll the debate outro song and video to run for about 4 minutes. Perfect time for everyone to hit the washroom, grab a drink, go stretch your legs, do whatever you need to do before the Chaos and Chill open panel begins. During that outro, I'm going to drop the link in the chat for anyone who wants to join the open panel, test your ideas, continue the conversation of tonight's topic. Anyone is welcome to hop in. Just come ready, think, question, debate. If you're going to try to come in and troll, bring personal dramas, anything like this, you're just going to get muted and then most likely booted. So while you're ahead with this idea, quit. And before we run the outro, one last reminder. Make sure you guys subscribe to both debaters, okay? Their links are in the description. Whether you agree or disagree, it takes more than you guys know to come up here and do this stuff for you guys. So go show some support. And also make sure you sub up here to the Speakeasy channel as well. Don't miss any upcoming Swords of Reason battles we have Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. This is where logic meets passion.
Can I ask?
All right, let's...
Real quick, when is the poll going to come out? Before or after?
Right as I start the outro, I'll put the poll up. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's roll the outro, and I will see you all in a few minutes for the Chaos and Chill.
Tap.